Good morning. Welcome to Current Agenda, your most authoritative news analysis program. As usual, it's a Saturday morning and we are in your homes to dissect and discuss the issues that have been bothering us, the issues on our airwaves, the issues in our political and our governance landscape. Today we'll be discussing three key issues. First, we'll be looking at this, or the albatross around our neck, the Galamsey issue. Should the president be let go on his decision to not call for a state of emergency? The general public are actually on the back of the president, on the neck of the president, asking for him to take decisive actions against the Galamsey issue. Then also Gertrude Araba Isaba Torkornoo Saki is fighting back. She's asking the Judicial Service to review the decision taken by the president, asking that she can be dismissed as a Chief Justice, but not as a Supreme Court judge. And so she's taking her case to the court. What will the court say? What will be the judgment on this case? Then also the last issue would be the Attorney General firing at the Ghana Bar Association, calling them partisan, asking that they should be fair in their advocacy and not only focus on what the opposition New Patriotic Party cries about. These are the issues that we'll be discussing this morning on Current Agenda. As usual, Current Agenda is sponsored by Bank of Africa. Bank of Africa says that it is as close as a group, or as close as a partner and as strong as a group. Bank of Africa understands that everyone has needs, everyone has financial dependence, and so the quick fix loan from Bank of Africa is your solution. If you need to replace your car engine, if you're broken appliances, if you need some solution financially to be able to solve a quick problem, Bank of Africa says the quick fix loan is your solution. You can reach Bank of Africa on 0302 429 333 or 0302 249 or chat with Fafa at www.boaghana.com. Remember, terms and conditions apply. We'll be right back after this break.
Uncle are almost here.
Wait a minute. This one too, your friend Kwame.
Wait, Kwame. As in the same Kwame again?
Yes, Mommy.
I'm the second coming. Into all this tension just to reintroduce that broke boy from Kaswa.
Why would you deceive the family like this again?
Now I understand the whole delay. Trotro from Kaswa. Why wouldn't he be late? Or be late?
Of course.
Everyone to hush, everyone to hush. Yeah, you could be the luckiest. Could be to just be luckiest. From not the block, she be luckiest. Yeah, you could be luckiest. No matter why you're luckiest. Everybody go be the luckiest.
That Kwame!
Senya God Abu Boom. If you put it at so would the coming of the Son of Man be. Hey! Is that his car?
Everywhere.
Dial star 712 hash. Choose your ticket. Enter your lucky number. Follow the prompts and let destiny handle the rest.
This promotion is regulated by the NLA on the Caritas platform.
Meet Kwame. He's not just any Kwame. He's Kwame the TV license legend. Kwame knows that by paying his TV license, he's supporting GBC, our public service broadcaster, and he's making a real difference. Kwame's contribution helps bring our communities closer together. Because of Kwame and others like him, we will all have access to amazing TV programs, educational content, plus broadcasting infrastructures are maintained and our culture is beautifully promoted. So GBC is asking all to respond to this civic obligation and pay your TV license fee. For individuals, it's 3 CDs per month or 36 CDs per year. If you have multiple sets, meaning 2 or more in your household, it's 60 CDs per year. For commercial institutions, it's your number of TV sets by 36 CDs per year, and you pay the invoiced amount directly to GBC. So let's all take a moment to appreciate Kwame, the TV license legend. Wherever you are, just dial *447*333# and follow the prompt. It's your civic duty, so pay your TV license today. GBC, the authentic and trusted voice of Ghana.
Another year dawns, another season begins. A season of shaping, of polishing, and of becoming. The chosen will be tested, groomed, shaped, pushed to their limits until only the radiance rise. As the weeks go by, the pressure will rise because every task is crafted to mold raw gems into diamonds. This is not a fairy tale. To wear the crown and win the enviable prizes, one must have grit, grace, and of course, your support through votes. One question lingers. Who will win and reign as the most radiant queen? Miss Malaya Ghana, the radiant season, showing this and every Sunday, 8:30 p.m. on GTV.
I've been reluctant to implement a state of emergency in the Galamsey fight because we've not exhausted the powers we even have without a state of emergency. We have the opportunity to arrest anybody, to confiscate any such thing. There are laws for forest protection and all that give us enough powers to be able to act. Implementing a state of emergency might sound nice, but it should be the last extreme, the last resort. So for now, let's exercise all the powers we have. And if it becomes necessary for a state of emergency, then we'll look at it. It means we have to go to Parliament. The President can't just declare a state of emergency without, going to Parliament, because there's a limit to how long you can maintain that state of emergency. And so I believe that we still have leverage to continue to fight Galamsey without necessarily implementing a state of emergency. It means that we have to delineate the areas where the state of emergency is operational. And if you look at the area where Galamsey is taking place, it covers several districts of our country. And so we would do it if it becomes necessary. But for now, I think that we've given the security services enough powers to be able to deal with people who are found to be involved in Galamsey.
Welcome back to Current Agenda, proudly sponsored by Bank of Africa, as close as a partner, as strong as a group. Well, this morning we will start right with the discussions on Galamsey. The president said that he thinks the call for a state of emergency is too early. There are a lot of other avenues to exhaust, and until all the boxes are checked and ticked, he is hesitant to call for a state of emergency. In fact, he's saying that what they are implementing, they believe, is yielding results, and so they should be given time, or the government should be given time to exhaust the avenues and the policies and the processes they've activated to see how it would end And if it gets then he realizes that it's not solving the situation, then he would activate the process to call for a state of emergency. And so this morning we'll be discussing this into detail. Is that the right call? What are these other processes or procedures? What stages, what directives, what programs are we waiting, and what period are we giving ourselves to see whether it's yielding results or not? I mean, we've heard about the mudding situation of water. A lot of the cities or the towns in the central region have not had water flowing through their taps for weeks now. We've had the Ghana Water complaining that if it goes the way it's going, we might not be able to supply drinking water to our homes. We've had within the week, I think the Ghana Medical Association, if I'm correct, issue some press statement indicating the possible medical implications of what is happening. We saw some publications also online talking about some food items that have now been polluted, and if we eat, with the possibility of us having cancer and other kidney-related diseases. And so what time are we saying would be the right time? And that's what we'll be discussing this morning with my panel in studio and on Zoom. And so we'll start virtually. We'll start with my team or my panel members on Zoom. Joining me on Zoom is Awula Sewa. Awula Sewa is an eco-conscious citizen. She's a coordinator for that group called the Eco-Conscious Citizens. Awula, if you are online and can hear me, good morning. Hello, Awula, if you can hear me.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
Great.
Good morning to you and your listeners, and thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us this morning. I hope your morning is going well.
Well, it could be better, but we thank God.
Right. So I'll start with a very critical question. What time would be the right time to call for a state of emergency? The president says it's not time yet. So what time is the right time?
Now is the right time. Yesterday was an even better time. We don't want to wait for 100% of our water bodies to be polluted and the food chain to be completely gone, and for everybody to have kidney disease and cancers before we decide to act decisively.
So you say now is the right time. What do you think is the reason, or what is influencing the president's hesitation, considering that this was the major call and the loudest shout when the current government was in opposition, asking that the government at the time declares a state of emergency? The UTAG were on the back of the government, the civil society was on the back, Ghanaians where there were demonstrations. What do you think is the reason for the hesitation?
Well, you see, it's very difficult to understand. The president is saying that he has not yet exhausted all the powers that are there. So what are we waiting for? That is the question. What are we waiting for? You see, when we are calling for a state of emergency, we don't see it as a magic wand. We see it as giving you the clear way to do things, to act swiftly, to mobilize all the necessary resources. So if you know you can do that without declaring a state of emergency, the question is, what is stopping you? As you rightly said, in the coming to the election, they were all lining up to demand a state of emergency. What has changed? What has changed? The situation has not got better. We hear it being said that, we've reclaimed some of the forest reserves. But those that were supposed to be reclaimed, the illegal miners have gone back to 2 of them. So the question is, if you have other measures you can use, then use them, because we face a critical situation. Water is life. Water is life. And one is wondering what is causing the hesitation. I can't explain it.
Okay, so I mean, you were asking why not now? The president is saying that they've launched a lot of programs, they've put in place measures. Like you said, they've taken steps and reclaimed some forest reserves, even though, like you mentioned, the people have gone back to 2 of them. But they are saying that they are chalking successes day in and day out. And rushing to declare a state of emergency would be a hard take. So why not go with the low-hanging fruits rather than go and cut away people's civil liberties?
Why are you cutting away people's civil liberties? When we had COVID and we realized that we had a health emergency, we did what we needed to do to stop the spread of COVID. This is even worse than COVID. We knew the situation before we came into the administration. We knew the situation. It's getting from bad to worse. And we have to see the urgency of it. We're in September. Even the low-hanging fruit like LI 2462, it hasn't yet been repealed. We're, in a sense, I don't want to use the word deceived, but, went and did an amendment instead of the promised revocation. So even the low-hanging fruit, we're in September, the middle of September, we now say to be done when Parliament resumes. And you see, what was important to the government, the betting tax, the e-levy, which, yes, maybe might hurt your pocket, but does not cause an existential threat. We're serious about it, and we did it. You see, it's an indictment that we are going about it so slowly. When people's lives are at stake. The water we drink, let me be clear, even when it's clear, it could still have mercury, cyanide, arsenic, because they are colorless. But we are deceived into thinking it's safe because it's clear. So the situation is dire. The house is burning. You're still using buckets of water. You need the fire service before the house is completely engulfed in fire. So I am a little stunned that we think that what we are doing is yielding results. We'll not be ungracious and say that nothing has achieved. Of course, there's been some progress, but it's too slow when we look at the scale of the problem and the existential, existential state we face, the existential threat we face. This is a serious situation. We cannot afford to dilly-dally. And I've also said that if we continue to dilly-dally, parts of Ghana will become like parts of Latin America, where even the army can't go there because they are controlled by the drug cartels. And in this case, they'll be controlled by the criminals who are destroying our forest reserves, landscape, and poisoning our water bodies. Please, we should act now. Use all the powers at your disposal to arrest this canker that is destroying us and poisoning Ghanaians, every single Ghanaian, including those who are doing the poisoning.
Okay, viewers, we are also joined on Zoom by Professor Eric Abavare. Prof, you correct me if I pronounce your name wrong. He's the UTAG president for the KNUST chapter. Prof, good morning.
Good morning.
How's your surname pronounced again, sir?
Abavare.
Abavare. Okay, Abavare. Prof?
Yes, Abavare.
I saw on your Facebook page this post. May God forgive the leaders of Ghana who supervise the destruction of this environment and give reasons. Ghana is part of West Africa. Make trip to her neighbors if such carnage is going on there. All the reasons given by President Mahama to justify Galamsey are weak and feeble, and make nonsense of the death of Major Maxwell Mahama and the 8 officials. Kwame Ghana, the year. Last year, UTAG was prepared to hit the roads, the streets, and demonstrate. Now, it looks like a demonstration is on Facebook. What is happening?
Thank you very much. The demonstration is not on Facebook. On the Facebook is the personal advocacy. Nevertheless, because I am the UTAG president here, it's a bit difficult to separate my views and that of the association. Nevertheless, it is still the same cause. Last year, we indeed embarked on a strike, if you recall, when we agreed with organized labor, Ghana Medical Association, and some other sister unions. At the last minute, you saw that Ghana Medical Association and organized labor had chickened out. It was UTAG that proceeded to the struggle. This resulted in signing of a pact with the then presidential candidate then president, our president now, then presidential candidate, NDC, then Dr. Ahmed Maumia of the MPP, that whoever wins the election, they will proceed to fighting the Galamsey. And of course, we had also heard several times from the president himself at that time, stating that Galamsey is an existential threat. He called for a state of an emergency and a whole lot of rhetorics. So UTAG was convinced that he meant business. But let me give you something a little bit as history. People of Ghana, if you recall again, in the 2016 election, NDC lost mainly because one of the cardinal reasons was the fact that Galamsey had fested. And so Ghanaians were angry and wanted a solution from the MPP. That is 4 years before that was 2012. And the Galamsey had already started its ugly head. So in the period of President Mahama, 2012 to 2016, that was the president. That was the president. Sorry, I think there's something. I'm just getting something back. Please, I don't know. Let me work out my thing. I'm very sorry. I'm very sorry.
Okay, so let's. Awula, are you still online?
I am still online.
You're still online. Okay, good. So my question to you is, when we say a state of emergency, calling on the president, what exactly are we asking, or what exactly do we want to see for us to say that a state of emergency has been declared? What exactly do we want to see?
In the hotspots, because we don't want a state of emergency over the whole of Ghana. In the hotspots, we want to see that all the resources at our disposal are being used to remove the environmental terrorists and their equipment. So, for example, the forest reserves, you may have the whole branch of what you can master to go there systematically. At the same time,
I'll come back to you after Awula. Awula, please go on.
Yes, at the same time, on your water bodies, you need to see whether your Navy, all the forces that you can master. And then it will make it quicker to get the resources you need. Maybe you need some funds. It might be difficult before. You have to go through Parliament. So what the state of emergency does, it gives you special powers to have at your disposal everything you need to fight this canker. As Prof rightly said, it's been ongoing. In fact, I don't even like the word Galamsey. It started as using hand tools, come and gather. This has metamorphosized into something that is threatening our very existence. It's an existential threat. It is criminal activity that is going on and which we are condoning. And what we are saying is that all we want you to do is that you get all the resources that you can master. And then if you need extra powers to restrict movement, to declare certain areas, security zones, do what you need to do. If you're saying you can do all this without declaring a state of emergency, which the NDC stalwarts were lining up to saying we declare or demanding that the past administration do so, did they not know what was involved? If you're saying you can do all this without declaring a state of emergency, then be our guest. All we want is for this canker to be dealt with swiftly and decisively with all the resources at our disposal. There will be no hindrance to getting all the resources, whether physical, whether men or funds. That is what we want with what we mean by a state of emergency. Restrict movement, do things that you might not ordinarily have done without a state of emergency. And I compare it to COVID. We restricted movement. Ghanaians love funerals. At a certain times, there were certain numbers of people who could attend. You do everything that you need to do to bring this canker to an end. It can be done. It can be done. But the political will needs to be there. And sadly, as we sit now, there are too many reports of persons close to the administration who are involved, and it's making it very difficult to deal with the canker. The same thing was happening under the past administration. And Ghanaians did not vote for musical chairs. Ghanaians voted to an end to this cancer that is destroying Ghana.
Right. Thank you, Awula. Prof, are you still with us?
Yeah, I'm really sorry for the mishap.
That's
so
so yes,
what I was saying that so in 2012, 2016, we saw President Mahama being the president, and therefore the candidate was already there with him. So when he lost 2016, one of the cardinal reasons was because of Galamsey. So fast forward 2024, that he was campaigning halting Galamsey. We believed him. We believed him because we felt that being a former president and knowing what he knew, what he could have done, that perhaps he didn't do, and now asking the people to give him the opportunity to again to go so, we were all happy. And so we gave him the mandate to solve. In one of his campaign trail, he stated that Galamsey could be solved in 4 months. I have the video myself. I can send to you. His own mouth. And so when he assumed office, January, February, March, blah, 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 to December, before that, any statement anybody tried to make, they would tell you the government is too young. The government is a baby. So, okay. Now, from a baby to a little baby, I mean, a baby to baby, somewhere, a baby that could walk, and then a baby that could run. And now, he's now a young adult. And the story still remains that he's not solving it. Now, you come and you hear the statement of the president, recent press engagement, that Ghana was exporting 80,000 tons of gold, and that now, because of Galamsey, it is now 135,000 tons, and so Ghanaians must give a face to Galamsey. You hear an argument that Galamsey gives a lot of employment to people over 4 million, and therefore they should give a face to Galamsey. So you see, if you hear such statement and you look at the environment, then the natural question you ask is that, have we now bargained economic gains for the distraction? And for me, it is disheartening and it's a big failure on the fight against Galamsey by the president. Now, let me give you, as I was mentioning about low-hanging fruit and success. What is the definition of success? Success because you have deployed certain people, blue guy, whatever, there into the bush, and so you have achieved success. For UTAG, our definition of success is the clearing of the water. Is the one seeing that the forest has been reforested. We're seeing that the cocoa beans is now what? This is how we define success. Success is not just going there and sucking people from the bush. Now, come again to the issue of the low-hanging fruit. The very day we had the 8 officials dying, I was on my way going to the program. In fact, when we had finished the program and we were coming, there's a village just after I don't know the name of the village. Just after Musah. And trust you me, Kojo, left and right of this village, you will see champagne machines being built. Just opposite the road where the champagne machines are being built, you also see excavators, sampled there with stickers indicating for hiring. So if one is really committed to wanting to fight Galamsey, this is what Awula is saying. low-hanging fruit. On the Kumasi Accra Road, when you get to Kwaninem, what I'm saying is still there. So the issue is, we have been deceived, and when I use the word swindle to the president that you swindle Ghanaians, the president doesn't take it easily for me. But there's no other way I can describe such a situation. That you tell me you do A, and when you come, you want to rationalize the A into B. Now, look at your own image that you're showing. People will be asking, so what can we do to solve the problem? Kojo, the thing is that there are two things. One, that we don't want to solve any problem. We do not want to solve. Because if you really want to solve, then we know or we have all the things that we need to do to solve it. If you ask me what are they, I've repeated many times. How many excavators do we need in this country? And how many of them are in circulation? We don't know. If the Minister of Environment can tell me Ghana has 10,000 excavators in circulation, he should come and tell the people of Ghana. No, he doesn't know. And so he doesn't even know how many have been seized or will be seized. So granted, we know the total number of excavators that we are fighting against, and maybe you've removed X of them, then we know we have Y minus X remaining. And that is what we are targeting. We don't know that. So if you're able to remove the Y minus X of all excavators, excluding the one we actually need for nation building, in other words, for construction work, then to me that we have succeeded in eliminating one of the key variables of the Galamsey. That is what? The excavators. Then the second item is the chamfan. If you also succeed to remove all the chamfan from the water bodies, then it means that the second variable has also been removed. Then third, they use this cyanide and chemical that they are imported to do. Where did they come from? So maybe passing through our ports and the porous border, you block all your borders, and then it means that this variable to have been eliminated. These are the three variables that affect the Galamsey. So what is that? Then tell the people, don't go and do your Galamsey. You don't stop them. And then it means that the person is now left with pickers and shovel. And if the person is going to do Galamsey with pickers and shovel, he goes there 1, 2, 3. What he gets in return is not enough. Nobody will ask him to stop. So it means that if you have removed it without necessarily asking anybody, so it is not just that it is too difficult, but the president says he has the power. The powers are indeed there. He has the powers. So what is preventing him from exercising the power? If you say that because it gives job, like I cited in my expose there, tell me which of the West African countries that is doing this street environment, that they also don't have employment. In America, they keep to a they still also have unemployment in America. If the president will tell me there's no unemployment there, then I throw my hand in air. But there's unemployment everywhere under the sun. So Prof, in West African countries.
Hello, Prof. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. So I would come back to you. I hold your guns. I see this morning you are really fired up, and I can feel the passion in your delivery. So hold the guns. We'll come back to you. I'll come in studio and discuss with my panel here. Then I'll come back to you on for further talks or discussions on the issues at stake. Right. So viewers, in studio with me, I have Inusah Fuseini, lawyer Inusah Fuseini, a former MP for Tamale Central and a constitutional lawyer. Senior, good morning.
Good morning, how are you?
I'm good. Yourself?
You can't complain.
And next to him, I have my brother Ishaq, Ibrahim, also a lawyer. He's a law lecturer at the UPSA Law School and a member of the MPP Legal Directorate. Ishaq, good morning.
Good morning.
You are
pleasure to be here.
You are an early bird. You came here first.
Thank you.
Right. I hope when in future, if your party comes back to power, you will be doing things first.
Definitely. I'm always an early bird.
When I come today, you say what you want to say.
And good morning to my colleagues here. My elder brother here. It's nice meeting all of you.
Nice meeting.
Right.
Yes.
Good. Then next to him, I have Musah Ahmed. He's also a lawyer and the founder and CEO of Ahmed Legal Consult. Good morning.
Good morning, my brother.
I hope you're good. Right. I'm great. Then last across the table, that's when normally the Movement for Change members decide to sit. They are the other host of the program, so they are sitting at the other end of the table. So Richard Sumah, he's a lead member for Movement for Change. Yes. I hear you're going to be a political party soon.
Yes.
How soon?
In the shortest possible time.
I hope it's not the same time you are supposed to use to declare state of emergency. Your time is different.
Obviously, yes.
Right.
And yes, I also just want to start on the note of saying a very good morning to my senior learned friends who are here, all fathers and uncles and big men who are here. By the time I leave here, I should become a lawyer.
We'll confer on you. Then I will tell you.
It's a privilege and honor
to come
to share this platform with them. I really appreciate it. I'm humble. Yes.
Okay, so gentlemen, I'll be going across the table with an initial submission. 3 minutes each for all of us. So probably I'll start with Ishaq since you came first.
Okay.
This whole discussion about it's not time for a state of emergency. What's your general take on it? And this is just a general take, not specific, so 3 minutes.
Well, I mean, you just say it clearly talk about the dishonest nature of NDC as a party. Because I remember somewhere in November when organized labor actually called for strike. And they did went on strike. The president had negotiations with them. The then president, who was President Akufo-Addo, he had negotiations with them. Among others, he said they were going to withdraw the LI. They were waiting for Parliament to return from recession. And, well, it wasn't actual official recession. NDC as a party attempted to overthrow Parliament and to take it over. And that was a crisis. And he said if the crisis managed to resolve, Parliament would call upon to withdraw the LI, which was mining and forest reserves. Among other things, they were calling for a state of emergency. So he was citing the fact that we're going for an election. And if you declare a state of emergency, it will have a material impact on the election, who could lead to crisis in Ghana. Organized labor listened to the president and call of the strike. NDC were not happy on the state of emergency not being declared. I remember seeing my senior, Honorable Haruna Idrisu, the now education minister, who was calling for a state of emergency. I remember hearing Honorable Ablakwa calling for a state of emergency. I remember hearing the now current communication minister calling for a state of emergency. I didn't hear the president, but I remember one of your panelists who just said he heard the president himself calling for a state of emergency, and that she has a video to that effect. So if, as of November, you said this issue was what they termed, I remember hearing the word ecocide.
I think what Prof said is that he heard the president say that he can solve Galamsey within 4 months. Yes, so not the state of emergency.
So whatever you say in opposition, it's as if they had no plan to resolve Galamsey. It was just a group of what I would call con artists who will say anything we want to have power. And when we have power, they have different agenda. And they are actually benefiting from Galamsey. You hear the gold board guys say they sold gold to the tune of 6 billion, which I believe Galamsey gold is among this.
The president admitted and said that 4 billion out of that amount, if not for the gold board, would have gone to private sector.
So they are benefiting from it. They have no appetite to do anything at all. I mean, look at the president's press conference. There was clearly lack of urgency in the way he dealt with that problem. And if this is an existential threat, it should have been part of your 150-day celebration that you celebrated that you had achieved so much. When we say most of the things you were celebrating were low-hanging fruits, when it comes to the heavy lifting, it's where we surely celebrate you. And this is the heavy lifting part. They are found wanted. It's not that they don't even, not only that they don't have appetite to deal with the problem, but they are benefiting from it. So they are not going to do anything about this particular problem. So, and then when you ask them, they say it's too early. They are only 7-8 months in government. But the president said he needed just 4 months. So if it is 4 months, they have given you extra. Or is it still on his honeymoon he asked Ghanaians to give him if he becomes president? Because if you ask for 4 months, and now 9 months, then you say it's too early to for them to call it to act on it. When? Especially if you say it is an existential threat. It does not mean it has ceased to be an existential threat. Or what has changed? So I believe this was just a group of people who will say anything for power. And now that we have power, Ghanaians can go to hell. And we are exposing them to their true nature. And Galamsey is one of the areas that is exposing the NDC to Ghanaians. That this is not a party who is willing to govern in your interests. They just want power for power's sake, no power to reduce the burden on the Ghanaian.
Musah.
This is very interesting. You know, I'm looking at the issue, and I don't know whether we've reduced it into politics. Because it appears that all the 3 members of this discussion have been speaking politically in relation to the issue. According to the UNDP, good governance is not just about making good decisions. It's about decisions in a transparent, lawful, and accountable manner. If you are asking for a declaration of a state of emergency, what is a state of emergency? What goes into a president or a government declaring a state of emergency? You have to look at the effect it will have on the rights of individuals. The law as we have now, or the laws as we have now, on mining, we have laws relating to large-scale mining, we know it. We have laws relating to small-scale mining. I don't see any law relating to Galamsey. But we keep using the word Galamsey. We ignore this large-scale mining. We ignore the small-scale mining. Most of these people that you see calling them Galamsey, they are operating under small-scale mining, which is lawful. It is lawful under the law. If you want to look at the issue broadly, you have to do it devoid of politics. It is an institutional failure which is not being witnessed under a current government. It started long ago. People who are destroying the forest, they started long ago, before even Akufo-Addo's government came to power, before Kufuor came to power, before Atamils came to power, before John Mahama came to power. Why have you all grouped to blame John Mahama alone? He said 4 months. If the government said 4 months, he didn't say upon assumption of office, within 4 months I will end Galamsey. He said we could deal with the canker within 4 months. You have to give a broader interpretation to it. You have to be fair. Parliament must be involved. And Parliament, according to the Supreme Court decision in WA against Attorney General, it said that mining agreements ought to be approved by Parliament. Parliament must be involved. Parliament is not only one government. Opposition is involved. We even have independent members in Parliament. What are they doing? What are the MPs doing? All that we have seen is that opposition members have joined forces with the public who are not MPs, and they are criticizing the government. Meanwhile, they have a role to play. I'm not in favor of a state of emergency. because it will result in serious violation of people's rights. If we have to deal with the canker, we have the Water Resources Commission Act, for instance, which is Act 522, I believe. It says that if you get involved in mining or any activity which destroys water bodies, you can be liable to a term of 2 years imprisonment. Is the law being enforced? Who is the head of the Water Resources Commission? Is it the president? Who is the head of the Minerals Commission? Is it the president? Who is the head of the Small-Scale Mining and whatever Regulations Act? Who is the head? Is it the president? Who is the head of the Environmental Protection Agency, Authority, sorry? Is it the president? You see, we are all guilty of it. So we should not assign one blame and blame the president alone or the government of the day alone. Let us look at it. Chiefs are involved. Chiefs, if you go to the villages, I have gone to so many places where they are conducting mining activities. I went to Draboso about, I think, 2015. 2017, I was there. I went to Mansun Kwanta. I was there. At Draboso, I saw mining activities being operated in front of the district administration. People were standing there. The DCE was there. They were looking at them. People were pounding their fufus in their homes. Clearly, in front of the district administration, which serves as the district coordinating council. We are all involved. The president is sitting in Accra. What do you want him to do? We have to get involved, all of us. It's not just a matter of calling for declaration of state of emergency. I think people just don't understand the semantic. If you declare a state of emergency, I heard someone comparing it to COVID. COVID, when they even did a lockdown for 3 days, people were ready to even spit fire against the government. President Akufo-Addo then was forced to lift it. It didn't solve any problem. We continue to have COVID. Even with lockdown, people were having COVID. They were spreading it among their family members. If you go to Konongo and other places, people are digging under their homes, their rooms. They are digging gold there. So if you declare a state of emergency and say you seize all machines, people should run, they will go and be digging in their rooms. The problem is very broad. We should look at it from a broader angle. We should look at the law as it is, to be fair, to be transparent, and according to the rule of law. If the laws, existing laws, are being enforced by those who have been assigned and are being paid as institutional heads to do the work, we will do a headway. We should not sit down and make political statements, because this platform is not a political party platform. It's a national platform for a serious discussion, not a political party platform. I beg to differ.
Richard.
Yes, sir. Well, first of all, I would like to say once again a very good morning to your cherished viewers and to my senior co-panelist this morning. But if I hear my senior uncle very well and per his submission, then obviously we all have to raise our hands in despair and say that we should allow the status quo to remain. Why am I saying so? The approach to combating Galamsey, this current approach, was deployed by the erstwhile NPP administration. They used all the strategic thinking, the strategic planning, all that they could do in order to, in this case, we have come to realize that all this diplomatic approach and all this means of community mining, responsible mining, burning of chamfans, burning of excavators, banning mining for a period of about 2 years, all these things have been done. So if they were done and still the result remains the same, then that should tell us that you cannot keep doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a new, different result. Then again, we look at the Galamsey issue and then we connect it into political conversation. Why is it so? The two major political parties, NPP, NDC, they are deeply involved in the Galamsey. So here lies the case, there's no political will to combat the Galamsey, because when you try to do so, you are going after your own people. Then again, we look at the fact that the Galamsey that is happening in certain jurisdictions of the country, it is now triggering a complete national disaster, because others are in the Volta region, others are in Greater Accra here, they are not involved in Galamsey. But should anything happen in terms of price hike in utility tariffs that we pay for water, we are all affected. Today, we are being told that even yams that are being sold in the Ghanaian market today, when you test it, there are some element of cyanide and lead and all these things in it. Where is it coming from? It is because of the fact that the same water that is in River Cobra and all these other river bodies, they are all going into other jurisdictions, and we are planting in other jurisdictions. At the end of the day, we are all getting affected. So, until there is a political will, we cannot obviously win this fight against Galamsey. So, the argument of the state of emergency only indicates that, yeah, the state of emergency may not be the panacea to the entire problem, but at least it gives us that awakening, that element of consciousness, for us all to understand that there is a cancer, there is a canker, there is a war, and this war is against our river body, this war is against our environment, which is being done by a small element of our populace. We are a country of about 33 million or 34 million. So if about 3 million, or let's see, because now the data we've been given it that about 3 million people are benefiting from the Galamsey ecosystem, i.e. market women, i.e. school children. So many people are benefiting from the Galamsey.
Yes, about 10%.
Yes, they are benefiting from this Galamsey ecosystem that we have created. So now the argument is that if that is the case, the real people who are actually involved, who are in the rivers, who are in the forest, who are destroying the forest with impunity, how many are they? The data is suggesting that there are about 5,000 individuals. So if there are about 5,000 individuals, can't we fight them head on? If you are talking about human rights, fundamental human rights, yeah, respectfully, so it is. But should we consider environmental human rights? Should we consider human rights at the detriment of the entire nation? Obviously, no. So the argument is that if today you were in opposition and one of your mantra is that to you, all the diplomatic approach of combating Galamsey is not working. Therefore, we think that the best way forward is to do or trigger a state of emergency. Then now, you use that to hoodwink us into believing that when you come, you are going to do something extraordinarily different. You were given the mandate to govern. Now that you have gotten the mandate to govern us, you turn around to say that you are also using the same approach, the same diplomatic approach, the same strategic approach. You have not exhausted all these means yet. If that is the case, then why didn't you keep quiet when you were in opposition, and also know that when you get the opportunity, you are going to do something extraordinarily different? That is why we are holding them to their words. That once you mention that in opposition and you have gotten the opportunity to govern, why won't you trigger it? Because don't forget, until recently, when I heard the Gold Board has donated 5 million Ghana cedis, and then 5 pickups to the National Anti-Galamsey Operations Secretariat. Hitherto, we've never had any budgetary allocation by Ministry of Finance to suggest that here, like the Minerals Commission, the Water Resource Commission, we are equipping them, we are giving them sufficient resources in order to fight the Galamsey or to combat it. Because the argument is that there are so many state institutions who don't have the resources to do anything at all. We were here recently when the National Road Safety Commission, PRO, mentioned to us that as a PRO of a National Road Safety Commission or authority who is supposed to be engaging drivers and doing this and doing that to draw the attention of the populace as to the effects of road accidents and all, don't even have a vehicle. So that should tell you that our institutions are under-resourced. So it is only the state that has all the resources and that their power is given to them. So the argument is that if you are able to trigger it, then you will be able to mobilize more resources, you'll be able to dedicate sufficient human resources, you'll be able to focus or zero in your objective into these enclaves as to how best we can combat it. And then our constitution too is full of flaws. Even though I'm not a lawyer, I understand that should gold or any natural mineral be discovered right now in GBC premises, the gold is not for GBC, it's become a state resource. So now GBC don't even have the power to determine who come and mine the gold here. It is the government or the state who determine who mines the gold here. So at the end of the day, you don't have any stake. You are not a stakeholder. So this is why the chiefs, everybody will say that the chiefs are supposed to be part of this fight against Galamsey. But they are not statutory owners of any resources, because they are not the trustees of our resources. The trustees of our natural resources, absolutely the government. So until we're able to at least amend some of our clauses in the constitution and make our traditional authority holders also become trustees. So at the end of the day, you go to Akwetia where illegal mining is going on. Mining itself, legitimate mining is going on, okay? But go to Akwetia, go to the mining communities and see how deplorable these communities are. They have been milked dry, there's no development there, absolutely nothing. And who will feed a horse that you cannot ride? Because you cannot feed a horse that will not allow you to sit on it. So if at the end of the day, we own the land, we are the custodians of the land, and you are coming to mine from there, and you have not allocated even 10% of the gold you get from there to the community for them to also see this as a source of income for them to be able to use for their basic infrastructure project, how then do you expect the chiefs to get involved into the fight against Galamsey? So there are several other things that we need to look at in order to combat this Galamsey, except to say that if we are saying that we are not ready to trigger the state of emergency now, the terminity level of the rivers are still increasing. The devastation of the forests are still increasing. And then again, we look at unemployment, joblessness. So like one of the UTAG president was saying, that the Knust chapter president was saying that, yes, joblessness is everywhere. But should joblessness be the reason why we should destroy our rivers and forests with impunity? Obviously, no. So we are praying to the government of the day that find alternative means of, even if it is a state plantation that you can establish in these enclaves, if there are rubber plantations, teak plantations, whatever you can do, give them an option. If I give you an option that, yes, I've created a job for you to go and do, and you refuse to go and do that, and you prefer the Galamsey, then we can arrest you, punish you, and deal with you drastically.
I'll come back to you again on these alternatives, because I like the angle you're going to. We'll discuss the alternatives maybe in the next round that I come to you. Senior.
Yes, sir. The real senior is Ahmed. I inherited his books at the University of Ghana. Yes. Now, so, first of all, I think that it's proper for me to say good morning to your viewers. And when you are sitting on a platform of academics who have 10 politicians, you should be very, very careful. Yes. Now, first of all, Prof Abavare got it totally wrong. The president never swindled anybody, did not deceive anybody. The president was speaking on a set of facts that existed at the time he was speaking. What were the facts? In 2017, 2018, the MPP placed a total ban on small-scale mining. Within that period, Ghana exported the highest amount of gold from the small-scale mining sector. How did that happen? How can there be a ban on small-scale mining? And within that period, Ghana exports the highest amount of gold in the small-scale mining sector. The devastation we are seeing now occurred during that time, because there was then no regulation, no engineering. And people were mining. You want evidence? You remember the Ashanti regional chairman? He sat on TV and displayed gold. Where did he get the gold from? So don't let us bury ourselves in the sun and cry wolf when the problem is staring us in the face. You remember Frimpong Boateng's report? What did he tell us about? He told us that key members of the party were engaged in illegal mining activities. In fact, we were even told the party here.
I understand in that same report, I think on the page 19 or something, it was also stated that even though key members, majority of the people involved are NDC in that same report.
Page 19, I've not seen the report, but page 19, if it's a majority of
we can say both parties are involved.
So again,
not to derail you, please go.
So don't derail me. No, but again, so that even if majority of the people involved were NDC members, what did the president do? That report, which was refused, which was commissioned by the chief of staff and rejected by Nana Akufo-Addo, is now with the Attorney General's office, and they're studying the report for possible prosecution. So if there are NDC members who cause devastation in that report, they should be prepared. What I hate in my life is weaponizing Galamsey.
You did when you were in opposition.
I didn't weaponize.
No, you are part.
You have not listened to me at all. I don't think you have listened to me.
Okay.
Awula will tell you that I am somebody who has even taken my party on Galamsey.
No, I don't mean you individual. I mean
no. So you didn't communicate that way.
Ishaq, allow him to.
Yes. Now, and I hate using Galamsey as an instrument for hostile propaganda. I hate it because it doesn't discriminate. And I can say that I'm part of the ministers who initiated the Galamsey fight in this country. And I know what is involved in it. My brother, the chiefs should be playing a major role. Not because they don't have interest in the minerals, but who owns the surface rights? Surface rights in Ghana, who owns it? It's not the chiefs. Sitting here, can you go to any land anywhere and begin digging to build a house without a grant from the chiefs? Can you? So how come that it's difficult for a chief to tell somebody, I don't want you to do Galamsey? And I know chiefs who said they don't want illegal mining in their communities. The late Fuseini, he said, clean in my office. He said, oh, it's the chiefs. Because if they don't want Galamsey, it won't happen. And recently, we saw Domahini championing the fight against illegal mining. And in any case, Volta region. In any case, you say they don't get, they feed the horse and they don't ride. The Minerals Income Development Fund was promulgated to address that issue. So, no, let's come back to what is happening to us. What has the president said? I know three of us are lawyers plus a person who hopes to be a lawyer at the end of the program. There is a principle which is called moral hazard. That people take your resources and leave the effects, the environmental effects of the exploitation of the resources. You don't benefit from the resources they have taken away from you, but you have to go and look for resources elsewhere to come and deal with the after effects of their exploitation. That's a moral hazard. That means you don't have any risk at all. That's a moral hazard. And that is why the president says, the resources are for us. We must buy the resources. We must. Because whatever be the case, we have to remediate the land. Well, this is our country. We have to dechemicalize the water bodies. Are we going to borrow money to come and do that? Is it not logical and rational that if people are committing a crime by destroying our environment, we don't let them go away with the benefits they are deriving from the destruction? It's not logical. Or you will do that. You will allow them to go away. That is why, for a very long time, Ghana has been accounting for only $2 billion of gold for a year from the small-scale mining sector. But we said, because we are and every country, again, we are lawyers here, everybody knows that Ghana has an inherent right to determine how it deals with its natural resources. If we decide that we're not going to allow for mining in Ghana, nobody can tell us that we should do it. So, like Senior Musah said, the president said he will deal with it, and I'm sure he's dealing with it. I had even, about 3 months ago, said, oh, President, because of the moral integrity issue, because we had all said declare a state of emergency, Why don't you absolve yourself of lack of moral integrity and declare? I was invited for discussion. And the simple question they asked me was, what is the state of emergency to do? What is state of emergency to do? Is it the cosmic declaration that you want? Is that what you want? Because the government is doing exactly what a state of emergency will do.
Which is?
In forest reserves, before NDC took over, almost all the forest reserves were occupied by illegal miners. Not so. Last month, it was reported, and the president said it in his speech, 9 of the forest reserves have been recovered. The miners went back with impunity. Now, soldiers have been sent there. They have reclaimed, and they are going to be stationed there. Is that not state of emergency? Is that not state of emergency? So you see, and the president says, we are going to dechemicalize the water bodies. I agree. Whether you are sitting in Accra, or in Tamale, or in Sisala, you're not immune from the effects of Galamsey. Because the fruits, these things that we are eating, they suck the hazardous substances if planted in the Galamsey areas. So many years ago, and Ahmed, Musah will know, we used to have what we call Obuasanka. Anybody who went to the market said, I wanted Obuasanka. That drew the attention of researchers. What did they find? Cyanide. As it was making the orange sweet, and we were drinking it thinking that that is the best orange. So the fruits, they suck the distance. So all of us must be worried about what is going on, because there's an increase in renal diseases in this country now. And during the Akufo-Addo's time, it became a national issue. How many were there? Less than 100. Now, there are more than 100. So, we are going to look for resources to go and deal with that issue. 2 days ago, I was speaking to a friend who returned from Britain. What did he say? That big men who travel to UK to seek medical attention, they are seeing a new trend. Their kidneys and livers are having problems. What is it? Telling you the Galamsey. So you're not immune. Let's approach the fight. And I have been talking to Awula. How come I went to Chichewure when the mine collapsed? And the Chichewure Ohinma told me, Minister, they're coming from somewhere. Because no Muslim says Chika Koko Ewo Nsium Nsu Omanko Nsium Enko Yisika Koko. To it, our ancestors knew that there was gold in the water bodies. They knew. But they never went into the water to look for gold. Why are we going into the water and spoiling the waters? Have you seen revolving of late? Have you seen prayer of late? Do we even have prayer? Our activities. That is why all those who were living along prayer have an interest in the restoration of prayer. You think all of them were farmers? What have we done to those who were fishing on the lake? Haven't we rendered them more poor? As you think they don't have an interest in stopping Galamsey? But because those they see are big men, they can confront them. That's why all of us must come together, led by government, to deal with those people. That's why I commend His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. Now, when information came to him that 2 of his party's national executives were involved in Galamsey, he referred their conduct to the Attorney General for investigation. But under the Akufo-Addo, we saw the Minister of Lands and Natural Resources write to Akunta Mining, telling Akunta Mining that they didn't have a right, they didn't have authority to mine in the forest area, and their activities in the forest area was an illegal activity. Who cleared Akunta Mining? It's not an Akufo-Addo. So let's stop this hostile propaganda. We are faced with an existential threat. No one is immune. I think that let's give, yes, you are academic, except that you are not in the sciences. Social experiments. When you start the experiment, you want to control this thing. You put in those policies, you monitor those policies, and you evaluate their effectiveness and efficiency in dealing with the problem. 4 months is definitely too short to even implement a policy and want the effectiveness and impact of that policy to be manifest. But we are going to hold this government, including me, to its word. We want Galamsey to stop.
We want Galamsey
to stop.
Thank you. We are joined on Zoom by Dr. Eric Oduro, a governance expert. Doc, good morning.
Good morning, my brother.
You are already smiling. Is it something you said in here?
I'm enjoying the conversation.
Right. So maybe let's hear your voice. 3 minutes. What's your general take on the president's position on declaring the state of emergency?
Thank you very much. Let me say good morning to Ghana and good morning to all colleagues in studio. I think we should reduce the talking. The time to act is now. What I want the president to do, I know Parliament is on recess, Council of State is on recess. If we want to show some agency, if we want to show commitment to fight Galamsey, the president should kindly work with the Speaker of Parliament to recall Parliament, or work to bring Council of State back so that they can give him the advice he needs so he can quickly publish in the Gazette and declare a state of emergency. These steps must be taken within the shortest possible time. I think with where we've gotten to, there's no turning back. And these are the things I expect him to do. And we should not be afraid of declaring state of emergency, because we can only declare state of emergency in areas that Galamsey is first prime. And when you look at Article 31, it's clear that when you declare a state of emergency, it is not going to be there forever. The president, upon advice of Council of State, declares it, then it goes to Parliament. Parliament within 72 hours can look at it. If they think that it is not necessary, they can use their numbers to tone it down, to revoke it. If Parliament does not act within 7 days, it revokes automatically. So I think we should not be afraid. But sitting down and doing nothing is not the option at this stage. In fact, when you look at Article 30, Article 31 plus 9, with your permission, let me read. All the conditions that requires declaration of state of emergency has crystallized. When you look at Article 31 plus 9, it is saying that the circumstances under which a state of emergency may be declared under this article include a natural disaster and any situation, emphasis on any situation, in which any action is taken or is immediately threatened to be taken by any persons or body of persons which is calculated or likely to deprive the community of the essentials of life or renders necessary the taking of measures which are required for securing public safety, the defense of Ghana, and the maintenance of public safety and other supplies and services essential to the life of the community. If we have not gotten to this point, then what are we waiting for? I think we have to act now. I know that the president is doing something. I know that the government is doing something. But I think that let us apply some brakes now. Let us freeze illegal mining activities in illegal mining areas, at least for 7 days. Once that move is taken, people will know that we are doing something. I don't think the government is happy with all this pressure that people are piling on them. It is not the best. The time to act is now. And I advise and implore on His Excellency the President and his government to quickly take some action for Ghanaians to know that they mean their words.
Thank you. So back in studio. Ishaq, yes. So let's move the discussion beyond state of emergency.
Okay.
Like, Prof mentioned it. He chronicled the years we have been fighting and talking about Galamsey.
Yes.
Senior Ahmed also mentioned it. it goes beyond Akufo-Addo. It goes beyond Atamils. It goes beyond President Kufuor. Galamsey, like as mentioned, has been with us. Many years ago, it was normal shovel and pickaxe. Then now we moved to excavators and the champagne and all that. So it's not a John Mahama doing. Yes. It's not a Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo doing, which means that it's been with us beyond decades. Yeah. What really is the difficulty in fighting this if it has lived with us this long?
Thank you very much. I might say it's quite disappointing listening to both Senator Fuseini and that of Senator Ahmed here. Why do I say so? You see, leading to 2024 election, the problem, according to them, has been exacerbated, and it was Akufo-Addo problem. But I agree with you that it predates John Mahama, it predates Professor Mills, it predates President Rawlings. But you said you have a solution. But what Senator Fuseini gave us was a history lesson. And what Ahmed gave us, I'm not really sure whether Ahmed is probably even dealing with the issue at all. He's talking about declaring state of emergency, how it will conflict human rights. I'm a human rights law lecturer. The environment, we have a right to a good environment. Environment is equally a human rights issue. I am not an expert in this area. I do not have the solution. But here is the case, a group of people marketed themselves to Ghanaians that they have a solution. And most of them are now cabinet ministers. Implement your solution. And they seem to be more helpless. It is our job to say that they were poor people and that now they are benefiting. So first of all, they need to make sure that they are not actually benefiting from it. The $6 billion export that Gold Board is talking about, Galamsey is among us. So they need to make the right choices. Right now, as we stand, I believe they had no solution. And I understand Brazil had a similar problem. They managed to resolve it. Perhaps they could study the Brazilian option. How did they manage to solve it? But for them to say that 6 months or 7 months is not enough, and he be attributed to the fact that because I'm not a science student, perhaps I do not have the solution. This is why you are a group of experts. And as I said, look at the press conference of the president.
I think what he said, and he's here to clarify, is that you are academics.
Yes.
But even though you're academics, you are not in the sciences.
Yes.
You can also do a study on the social aspect of it.
Okay.
Senior, that's correct. So not to say you're a science person, you don't understand, that's not what...
No, I mean, but he made reference to the fact that 4 months is just too early for something for us to begin to see results. But he said within 4 months, he can resolve it. But he's saying that, and he also equally said that the problem had been worse in the past, and we are beginning to see the effect now. I don't believe so. We are having this current discussion because the experts in the field say that the problem has worsened. So this is a new problem. I mean, the problem has been exacerbated, and it's attributed to them. So if you campaign on research, but you keep attributing the blame to past events, I don't see it. So for me, the present press conference just revealed that.
Okay, so back to my question.
Yes.
My question is,
yes,
we've been fighting this all this while.
Yes.
MPP fought it, like Inusah Fuseini mentioned. There was a ban. Yes. I think initially was for 6 months, extended for 3 months, another 3 months, so a whole 1 year.
Yes.
Okay, a whole 2 years.
Yeah.
And within that period, like he mentioned, there was we still had gold being exported.
Yes.
We are back here.
Yes.
You are saying that the situation has become worse than before.
What they are
reporting. So what really is the problem? Why are we not able to solve this government upon government?
Well,
let's move from blaming. Why are we not being able to solve it?
I think last year I've always mentioned that we should treat it as a national issue. To treat it as a national issue is to recognize that this is a collective failure on the part of everybody. And the government probably need to raise their hands and say we can't deal with this problem. Perhaps every Ghanaian who have an idea should come and sit on the table. And some of these experts have already said that. The starting point is actually the state of emergency. Something you said we shouldn't talk about it. Because declaring a state of emergency will not violate anybody's rights. I understood some of these Galamsey people are making 15 million a day. So, I mean, 15, the old Ghana, 15,000.
500 cities.
1,500 a day. If somebody is making 1,500 a day, multiply it by 30. How much are they really making a month? It means that this is not just an unemployment issue. For me, it could be treated as a criminal issue. Having operated there for more than 1 year, you should have enough capital to do something that will not be harming the environment. So treating it as the government is trying to treat it as a way of resolving employment issue, perhaps they need to activate some of these laws. And as Ahmed suggested earlier, maybe we need to make specific laws targeting the Galamsey area. And declaring the state of emergency, even though you say we should depart from it, I think the state of emergency, they said when they were in 2024, the NDC leadership saying that there was a right way forward. So they're running away from it is where we have a problem. And declaring state of emergency will not conflict with rights. In fact, it will rather enforce rights. It will tell people that it's time to go off the water bodies. So if you remain over there, that will be a good start. Taking people out of the water bodies. They are not saying state of emergency for the whole country. The focus will be on those areas that the illegal mining is taking place. They should tell us clearly why the state of emergency will not work. The president said there are other tools to be applied before the state of emergency. He should clearly explain those tools. And why has he not been applying them since January? If he has applied them, are they working or they are not working? He has a duty to explain to Ghanaians. And if, for example, they don't even have a plan at all to deal with it, they should raise their hands up. And as they always call for people to come together, call every Ghanaian together. Everybody should contribute their idea. But you cannot, yes, we know the chief are equally to be blamed, but the ultimate responsibility lies with the president, who said he has a magic bullet. And Ghanaians have given him power. All that he said he needed was power. We have given him power. Let him deal with it.
Right. Ahmed. So you made a point earlier that we should shift from politicizing this. This is not politics. It's not a doing of President Mahama. And you even concluded to say that the platform we're sitting on is not a political platform. But would this not be excusing politicians to tell us anything just to win power, only to come back and say, let's broaden the discussion? Because the premise to referring to the president is based on the things that were said before elections. Is this not an accountability that we are asking of them? Like Ishaq is saying, you say something, people believe in it, and they vote for you, only to come back and say, well, don't make it political, let's speak something else.
Knowing thyself is the beginning of all wisdom. Did the current government win the election based on a promise to solve Galamsey?
It could be one of them. Actually. Galamsey was one of them.
We don't have the evidence.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't have the evidence. All we do is to speculate and throw it out. I don't have that evidence. The evidence I have, which I can see, Ghanaians were making noise. The economy is hard. Things are difficult. The city is depreciating. There is no employment. And they voted massively. Galamsey is a technical matter. We have to deal with it, not on the political table. The moment you run it through a political discussion, it will fail. That is all I'm saying. I'm not opposed to having strategies to end Galamsey. I'm all for it. But I'm saying, don't politicize it. 90% of his argument has been mentioning John Mohammed's name and blaming him for Galamsey. That's what he's doing.
No, I didn't blame for Galamsey. I'm blaming for failing to resolve.
And you are saying it has escalated during his time. It is because those who are in charge of the media, I'm not blaming the media per se, but those who are in charge of the media, we know them. They are now making the issue to become a national issue because they are doing, as my brother said, propaganda. Let us not do that. Let us not do that. If you take the front page of every newspaper now, you see Galamsey, you see Galamsey. It's all over the place. So in your mind, you think that it has escalated. The problem has been there since time immemorial. That is what I'm saying. Now, coming back to the solution, I had a discussion with a senior academic person and a former general who said that, look, to deal with this issue, let us identify the forest areas where the issues are being done. Let us also identify the river areas. And then let us declare those areas as security zone and empower the police under the national security strategy. It is the police who are in charge of internal security, but the National Security Council is the ultimate boss. So let us do such a declaration that, look, these forest areas, we have people occupying there. The river areas, we all know, they are destroying them. So we declare those places as security zone. And then we empower the police and the army to go there and be stationed there. Take over the place. They must also have in their company journalists. Journalists who will be there to report, to also...
It's not a state of emergency.
It's not. It's not, because a state of emergency is different. When they do this, because the laws are already there, when you declare that this place is a security zone, you don't need Parliament to approve it. All you need is the National Security Council to agree. When they sit, the president is the head of the National Security Council. When they sit, they say, look, this place is a security zone. They move the soldiers and the police there. And then they have the journalists to go and sit there and monitor. And let's see whether people can have the zeal to go there and mine, as they are doing now. We don't sit on only a panel like this and talk.
So what is stopping us from doing this? If this will work.
This is an alternative. That's what he should be doing. Not to be blaming the president. He should be coming out with an alternative. He says that they should throw their hands in despair because they have failed. You didn't hear him. That's what he said. He's not proposing solution. He's only attacking and criticizing. I agree that when you criticize, it's good. But like criticism should be like a river. It should nourish and not destroy.
Maybe not Upper River.
Yes. So you see, the solutions are there. Let us approach the solutions. Let's look at all aspects and then decide for ourselves whether he talked about Brazil. But I don't know whether he studied the Brazil situation because he would have said it here. He has read it or he has heard it. Brazil had a similar issue. If you go to Nigeria, they don't have gold. They have oil. The problems Nigerians are facing in the Delta area, we all know it. People are cutting oil pipelines to steal, destroying farmlands. It is all over. If you go to Freetown, it is worse. They have gold as we also have. They are destroying all their forests. It's not a matter pertaining to Ghana alone. So let us not deceive ourselves by sitting here and saying that, oh, when you go to other countries, the problem is not. Even Burkina Faso.
Yeah, but it's only fair that when you are comparing to who has made it better. Not to say somebody is worse, so you are better than the West.
No.
So it's only good that make that.
That's not my point.
Okay.
My point is that we should not deceive ourselves into thinking that the other West Africans don't have a problem. If we do that...
But is that deception?
It is.
Because it's a choice for me to compare. I can decide to compare to good or to West.
If you compare, you must be fair. Comparison must be fair. So we must be fair to ourselves. How do we deal with the issue? Not to say that, oh, my neighbor is not even having that issue. So how do you deal with yours? Your neighbor, he has that issue too. You haven't gone there, but I know they have it. Let us deal with the issue passionately. Let us devoid the issue with passion because it is reason. not passion. If you introduce passion into it, it will not work.
Does passion not inform reason?
No, that is not the case. Passion doesn't inform reason. Reason is logic. It is based on premises. Then you get a good conclusion. Passion will explode fire. That's what some people have specialized in doing. Some have even formed political parties for purposes of forming an alternative government. So they must criticize without providing solution. They must impart propaganda. They must give out information that will make them look good in the eyes of Ghanaians. The same accusation they level against the current government for deceiving Ghanaians to come to power. That's what some of them are doing. They have an objective. But let us all sit together and realize that we have a problem. Whether you want to come to power or not, let's solve the problem so that we avoid cyanide consumption, we avoid diseases, which is what my brother said, analyzed. That's what we should be concerned with. In fact, as we sit here, I told him I was even afraid to eat the...
I noticed it. So back to Zoom. I have Awula still on. So Awula, one school of thought is recommending that perhaps a better solution or one of the things to consider, aside as declaring the Galamsey areas as security zones, is to first rezone mining areas. Then after you rezone mining areas, you assign those responsibilities to the chiefs and the local authorities to be the one responsible for giving licensing to people who mine there, so they are responsible for it, and give them a pool of resources that they can use in mining. So it's controlled and decentralized at that level. As an advocate and a voice in that space, what would you say to such a proposal?
What I would say is that currently we're on the verge of an ecological catastrophe. That is the situation. We're on the verge of an environmental catastrophe. Every solution will work when the environment is conducive. When the house is burning, this is not the time you're thinking of buying new curtains or different chairs you might need. You need to put out the fire. So let's leave political inclinations aside. I don't have a problem because my party is Ghana. And I think we have to put aside petty politics and look at the situation. I mean, I heard somebody say there's no law against Galamsey. What is Galamsey? Galamsey is being used to mean illegal mining. Of course, there are laws against illegal mining. The word is illegal mining. And I just want to end by saying that we've been having conversations upon conversations upon conversations whilst the house is burning. We talk about livelihood. Do we realize that according to the Peasant Farmers Association, over 2.5 million peasant farmers, and we're not talking about their support mechanism, could bring it to about 4 or 5 million, are at the risk of losing their livelihood. Some have actually lost their livelihood as a consequence of illegal mining. We've talked about the ecological disaster. We're being poisoned. We look at the brown water and we think that that is the problem. The problem is that even when the water is clear, it can still contain the arsenic and lead and whatever. So I would say that if we have the interest of Ghana at heart, let's have the conducive environment. Let's put out the fire. Let's put out the fire first. And let's realize that mining is not the only means of livelihood. When we are destroying the forest, Professor Frimpong Boateng told us that our forest pharmacies. So we're destroying pharmacies. And if other countries are better or worse, our country is Ghana. Ghana, God has a mission ahead. Let's do what we know we need to do. In opposition, we always know what to do. When we come to governance, it's more challenging. So I'm appealing to the president, because I do believe he has the interests of Ghanaians at heart. I'm appealing to him to find the political will to get rid of this cancer, because it's affecting every single Ghanaian. The food we eat, what are we going to eat now? Whether it's contumely, it's tubers, whatever we're eating is contaminated. Our water is life, is contaminated. What are we waiting for to take urgent, decisive action and put out this fire? before it engulfs us. As we are putting out the fire, yes, you can look at other measures. And let me be very clear, whether you call it cooperative mining, you call it community mining, if you are not prepared to enforce, we come back to square one. Community mining was virtually the same as illegal mining because the duty bearers were not enforcing. I gave the example of Atronsu, where the activists rather have been arrested and charged, whilst the illegal miners are walking free. So I'm using this medium to appeal to the Attorney General to cause charges against the activists in Atronsu who are trying to defend their Atronsu stream and landscape to be dropped. And let's be serious about fighting this canker, because from where I'm sitting, the political will does not appear to be robust. In opposition, we knew all the things that needed to be done. Now we are telling us how it's not as easy as that.
Okay, thank you very much. Viewers, Awula would have to take leave of us this morning. So thank you very much, Awula, for your contribution this morning. We really appreciate it. Doc Oduro, so this whole discussion, we've had people indicate that the cartel behind the Galamsey economy will make it difficult for any government to fight it head on, and that even the people crying on air and saying that stop Galamsey, some of them are actually even the ones behind it. And so they put up a front in the public space, but behind they are the ones benefiting from this. Foreign investors, who are the real beneficiaries of this economy of Galamsey?
Thank you very much. I think if government wants to fight it, government can fight it. No sub-economy is bigger than the Ghanaian economy, and government has what it takes to fight the cancer. It is a value chain, and that is why I would go for and repeat that we should declare a state of emergency. Once that is declared, we can step back and even involve the actors in identifying or carving out a solution. We should not leave them out of the solution. I bet you if you engage the Galamseyers themselves, they will be able to help you to properly document and understand the entire value chain. Sacking them from the field is not the solution. It is about making sure that you have a comprehensive strategy after moving them from the field to deal with the issue. But you can only deal with the issue when you declare a state of emergency. We should pause. And I agree with Awula that we should pause and step back and find a solution. And in finding a solution, we should engage them. I believe that the Galamseyers themselves will be able to prescribe to government and Ghana how the issue can be resolved, so that they will continue to be in genuine business, that is legal mining, that will not have harmful effect on the environment and on Ghanaians. But I think that until we declare a state of emergency where we apply the brakes, we cannot move the process forward. Where we are, it is difficult. Yes, it is a network, it's a value chain. Once you solve that one problem, you activate the other. Once you activate the other and solve that problem, another one is activated. So until you tackle the value chain, to be able to tackle the value chain, you would have to apply the brakes. That is why we are entreating on government to, within the shortest possible time, declare a state of emergency in the illegal mining areas and quickly engage all the actors. I believe that within a week or two, we will be able to have a comprehensive national roadmap developed by all of us to be able to resolve the issue. As it is now, we are using a piecemeal approach to resolve the issue, and we can never make any meaningful headway with this piecemeal approach. Let me also say that we should avoid politicizing the fight. It is a national canker that does not know NDC, it does not know NPP, it knows Ghanaians. When people are suffering, it's Ghanaians that are suffering. When you're going to buy water, when you're going to buy oranges, you don't ask whether it is an NDC orange or NPP orange. It is an orange produced from illegal mining area. So I think, and this I'm repeating, His Excellency the President must heed this call and within the shortest possible time declare a state of emergency in those areas and quickly engage all the actors. And it should be a solution that can emerge from both parties, NDC, NPP, the media. All of us must be part of the solution so that this issue can be resolved. The way we are approaching it, we will not make any headway. We will go back and come and sit around the table and be talking about it again. The time is now for us to declare a state of emergency and quickly convene a national discussion around the issue.
So, Prof, beyond the, like Ahmed said, beyond the passion and the emotion, what's the next step for the UTAG? What's your next line of action? Let's broaden the discussion, as the panel is saying. Let's make it all inclusive, bring all stakeholders. What is the UTAG seeking to do next to be able to bring finality to this fight against Galamsey, beyond the regular posting and screaming on social media and on the streets? What's the next step?
Thank you very much, Kojo. But before I respond to that, let me make some few remarks or some kind of follow-ups. Indeed, the rhetorics keep on going. My seniors at the studio, the indefensibility of what is there, it for me not helping the solution. And I've concluded that we know the problem. We know the solution. What it is that we don't want to do. Now, I heard them talk about state of emergency and some say for and against. And I want to ask them, when state of emergency was called in Boko, did the people of Boko's rights were infringed? I just want an honest answer from those speakers over there. But let me also ask you this. Just not too distant ago, I think last week or so, we saw Ghana Water shutting down at Konyako because they don't have water, they can't extract water anyhow, anyway for the people. Konyako has fallen. More villages and towns are going to fall, whether we like it or yes. And for the people of Konyako, they had to use Okada to about some village to go and get water. It cost them 25 Ghana cedis to go there. And then they'll buy a gallon of water, 5 cedis, and get back. That's about 30 cedis in getting a gallon of water. Now, let's come to the state Ghana. About a month ago, I was watching a Japanese TV. And the Japanese people have now succeeded to creating a new kind of cocoa beans that levels well with that of cocoa from Ghana. If you're in Japan, there's a chocolate called Ghana. What's the name of the chocolate? Ghana. Because they get their cocoa beans from Ghana and they think it's of high quality, premium cocoa beans. So they call it Ghana. Now, they are creating a substitute to our cocoa beans because of this heavy metals infestation. So we can do all the talks. We can do all the defense. We can say whatever that we want to equalize. But the carnage is still there. Let me ask my seniors over there, do you think if this had not gone on, Major Maxwell Mahama would have died? The 8 officials that were gruesomely killed, do you think if this issue of Galamsey was not there, those guys would be living? So you can be in the studio and do all the defense and justify why certain things can be done now. It is coming gradually. Now go to the hospitals. It is coming gradually. And everybody, like Fuseini said, it doesn't matter whether you're in Salah or you're in where, because there's water body in the ground that we are all fetching So you can have your borehole, but that borehole will still be infected with heavy metals. Now, what UTAG is going to do, UTAG, as you know, with our structures, one person doesn't take a decision. Very soon, we'll be having a Congress in Accra. And when we meet, the Congress is the higher decision body. Whatever they will decide in terms of an action against the Galamsey, they will determine. But I've made these remarks to drum home that we can play all the antics. We can blame anyone. We can say whatever. The effect of the Galamsey, when you start having deformed children at the hospitals, more people are going to die, whether from government or from individual. In fact, many people have died directly or indirectly because the pits that are left, many people are dying in there. Those information don't come out because they are the foot soldiers. Your uncle, your cousin, your aunt will be part of it. And remember, the sad thing that we're going to see in the next future, maybe 10 years from now, is that our children are going to learn the rivers of Ghana. They will learn it on paper. They will never see River Cobra. They will never see River Brim. They will never see. I heard my senior say that if you go to Sierra Leone, they have their problems. Go to Cote d'Ivoire. The big river that is in front of Abidjan, that big river, has it been destroyed? So, respectfully, it is time to be rational. Because if we shift this blame because MPP said this, NDC said it, in fact, I am on record to have told Anado to resign. And I have also on record to have told him that he was a joker when he came to Galamsey fight. So please, we know the solution and we know the problem. What we don't know is we do not want to do. I rest my case. Thank you.
Thank you for your submission. And just to clarify a point you made, the 8 that were involved in the accident were not killed. They were on a mission to execute an exercise, I think the outcomes depth, as an alternative livelihood program for the Galamsey, and they were involved in an accident and died in it. So just to clarify the use of the word that they were killed, they were not killed.
Let's also clarify something.
There was no deliberate.
At this meeting,
there was no deliberate or intentional act by any person or entity to end their life. So that's the clarity that I needed to make. Right.
Kojo, but let me also add this, that at that moment, that day, on the 6th of August, I was invited to this program of this responsible community mining. I was at that day, I was there in Obuasi, in person. Omani Boama happened to be a national service colleague that we shared the same bed for 1 year. So I was planning to meet him. Now, the point I want to make here is this. The very program that he was coming, if you look carefully deep into the program, it was a facade. Sad to say. Because you make an arrangement to attack the community, to solve the problem of the community. But the kingpins were not part of it. I always see an example like putting a sugar on the ground. You will see ants coming around to the sugar. You will see giant ants also coming. The sugar is the gold. The ants are the community workers. And the giant workers, the giant ants.
Can you hear me, Prof?
Hello, yeah.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Kojo.
Yes, Prof.
Yeah, Kojo, yes, I can hear you now.
I think the point you made is well noted. I was only seeking to clarify the use of the word kill. So not to belabor the point that you made earlier. Unfortunately, I need to take a quick break. So please pardon me to cut you, but I need to take a quick break at 9 o'clock exactly. So I'll get back to you after the break. So viewers, we'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll be discussing the should I call her the dismiss or the removed CJ and her quest to review the decision to no longer make her a Supreme Court judge. So we'll be right back after this break.
Uncle are almost here.
Wait a minute. This one too, your friend Kwame.
Wait, Kwame. Asking the same Kwame again?
Yes, Mommy.
I'm the second coming. Into all this tension just to reintroduce that broke boy from Kaswa.
Why would you deceive the family like this again? Now I understand the whole delay. Trotro from Kaswa. Why wouldn't you be late? Or being late, of course.
Everyone to hush, everyone to hush. You go be the luckiest, go be from the job be luckiest, from not the block she be luckiest. Yeah, you go be luckiest. No matter why you're lucky, everybody go be the luckiest.
That Kwame!
Senya God the apple boom. If you put it at so would the coming of the son of man be.
Hey!
Is that his car?
Everywhere. Dial star 712#. Choose your ticket. Enter your lucky number. Follow the prompts and let destiny handle the rest.
This promotion is regulated by the NLA on the Caritas platform.
MedShay, natural mosquito repellent, highly recommended by Ministry of Health, CHAS and GES, lab tested by Noguchi Medical, field trialed by Atomic Energy Commission. It has no chemical or side effects and is good for all ages and skin type. MedShea is available nationwide. Contact us on 0244892413. This advert is approved by FDA.
The streets is calling. Let's dance. This September, the heartbeat of culture returns. Get ready to ignite the streets of Ho with rhythm, color, and unmissable energy. Boborbo Carnival 2025 is here. Bigger, bolder, and more electrifying than ever. On Saturday, September 27th, 2025, as part of the legendary Asogli Yam Festival, the city of Ho will come alive. With your masks on, carnival gears ready, and dancing feet set, you're invited to a street celebration like no other. From the hills to the coast, over 10 incredible Bobobo groups from across Ghana will battle in the 2025 National Bobobo Championship. Who will rise? Who will rule the rhythms? Come and witness dance, drum, and tradition in their rawest and fiercest form. This is more than a contest. It's a cultural spectacle, a national celebration of unity, heritage, and pride. Bring the whole family. Premier traditional carnival, street games, and electrifying performances. There's something for everyone, from elders to little ones. So mark your calendar. Saturday, 27 September 2025, Ho Bankoi, Volta region, Ghana. Don't just hear about it, live it. Let's dance, let's celebrate, let's make history together. Brought to you by the Bobobo Carnival, Asogli State Council. Proudly supported by Lifestyle TV. Shop better.
Another year dawns, another season begins. A season of shaping, of polishing, and of becoming. The chosen will be tested, groomed, shaped, pushed to their limits until only the radiance rise. As the weeks go by, the pressure will rise because every task is crafted to mold raw gems into diamonds. This is not a fairy tale. To wear the crown and win the enviable prizes, one must have grit, grace, and of course, your support through votes. One question lingers. Who will will win and reign as the most radiant queen. Miss Malaya Ghana, the radiant season, showing this and every Sunday, 8:30 p.m. on GTV.
Welcome back from the break. Before we went on the break, we mentioned that we'll be discussing the CJ issue. Within the week, we heard that should I still call her lordship? Gertrude Araba Torkornoo is challenging the decision of the president to asking her to step aside as the Chief Justice, also to step aside as a Justice of the Supreme Court. She's saying that the committee set up does not have the mandate to determine that, because Article 146 is to speak to the issue about Chief Justice and not the Supreme Court. And then there's a different procedure in getting rid or removing somebody as a Supreme Court judge. And that's what we are going to discuss next. As mentioned earlier, Current Agenda is brought to you by Bank of Africa, as close as a partner, as strong as a group. The Bank of Africa has the Quick Fix Loan. The Quick Fix Loan is your solution to solving your immediate pressing challenges, being your broken down car that you need to replace an engine, or there's an educational need that you have to pay a fees, or there's a medical request that you have to pay. The wife is in the hospital, the husband is in the hospital, and you need some finances to be able to clear the bill. The Quick Fix Loan is your best bet. Visit any Bank of Africa branch near you, or you can speak to Fafa on their website, boaghana.com, or on their telephone 9030242933, and speak to their agents and get whatever clarifications you need. Remember, terms and conditions apply. Inusah. And so the Gertrude Araba Torkornoo now says that what the president is doing is not constitutional. And I mean, when I was introducing you, I mentioned that you're a constitutional lawyer, so it's only fair that I start with you. She says it's not constitutional. Yes, the committee has the right to put her aside or dismiss her as a Chief Justice. That is what 146 speaks to. But they do not have, the two are not the same. The fact that she says Chief Justice does not mean that role and the role of a Justice of the Supreme Court are the same. So one can be dismissed, but the other one has a different process. As a constitutional lawyer, please educate us on the rightness of what she's saying or otherwise.
You need 2 hours, but let me just say quickly. My friend Ishaq here, brother, says that state of emergency will not impact human rights. I think that he has not averted his mind to Article 31, Clause 10. It says specifically and clearly that when a state of emergency is declared, Article 12 to 30 of the Constitution, Article 12 to 30, that's Chapter 5, the beginning of Chapter 5, which is fundamental human rights, are suspended. So that clearly, there's an impact there. And then Abavare, that also goes to your question about Boku, that when they declared a state of emergency in Boku, and that was actually not a state of emergency, that was a curfew, and that empowered the police to act. But if you want to take it to that extent, the Article 12 to 30 of the Constitution was suspended. That's why there's a law, a State of Emergency Act, that will set up a different procedure for vindicating a right or a supposed right that has not been used. It says that we are talking history, but history is a guide, not so. Because those who are not guided by history, we are bound to make the same mistakes. So it's important. And let me say clearly that until 1989, mining, small-scale mining was an illegal activity. There was no small-scale mining in Ghana. So the historical or policy considerations that inform the legalization of small-scale mining is a matter that everybody should go back and read. And I don't like, Dr. Kwaponsa, you framed the issue of fighting Galamsey as a binary challenge. I mean, we can't frame issues like that either you do this or we lose. So there are many shades of gray. Not so. So Article 146 of the Constitution. First of all, your starting point of Article 146 should be the head note. And what is the head note, or depending on the Constitution that you have, what is the head note or side note of Article 146? The side note, depending on the Constitution that you have, reads, and let me read it for you and your listeners, of Article 146. Removal of justices of the Superior Court of Judicature, of the justices of the Superior Court and chairman of regional tribunal. That's all Article 146 is doing. Article 146 is principally for the removal of justices of the Superior Court and chairman of regional tribunal. Article 146 says that, 146.2 says that a justice of the Superior Court of Judicature or a chairman of a regional tribunal may only be removed in accordance with the procedure specified in this article. It doesn't talk about a Chief Justice. So what you see in Article 146.3 is a procedure, a procedural requirement. What you see in Article 146.6 is procedure. It's not substantive, it's procedure. Now, even though if you take the 146 itself, you will see guardrails to protect the judiciary, to protect the justices of the Superior Court of Judicature, to protect the Chief Justice, to protect the institution. There are guardrails. And which are the guardrails? The guardrails are substantive limitations on the powers of the President. The President cannot write to the Council of State to investigate the Chief Justice. The authority of the President to do that must be triggered by a petition. So that's a guardrail. When you look at institutional guardrail, the President cannot determine, unlike Article 146.3 of the Constitution, which makes the Chief Justice the sole determinant of whether or not a petition for a removal of a justice of the Superior Court of Judicature or a regional chairman, a chairman of a regional tribunal raises prima facie. It's the Chief Justice who is the sole determinant. But what happens in Article 146? Procedure. That decision must be taken in consultation with the Council of State. Why is that? So you go back to 1969. The 1969 Constitution, there was no Council of State. I mean, before 1969, there was no Council of State. Now, the Council of State came in 1969 because of the requirement to have a non-partisan institution of state that will advise the President. So when you look at the Constitution Review Committee, they didn't even recommend that Article 146 should be implemented in relation to the Council of State. They said Parliament or the Judicial Committee of the Council of State. But when the final Constitution came, they said, no, let's go back to the rationale of 1969. You have a Council of State, which is a Council of State, advising the President on matters of the state. And you insulate the process of removal from partisan political consideration. So, again, you see a limitation, an institutional limitation on the on the powers of the President. You see a substantive limitation in Article 146.9. The recommendations of the committee, either constituted under Article 146.3 or Article 146.6, is binding on the President. So the President has no discretion at all in Article 146.6. So let's come back to the original question. So the decision of whether or not a Chief Justice, when she's removed, she can remain on the bench as a Justice of the Superior Court of Judicature has been answered. Has been answered in the Frank Ajechum against the Attorney General and Akwete. Modibo Okrai stated it clearly that if a Chief Justice is removed from her position as Chief Justice, she loses her position on the Supreme Court. Clearly, that has been decided. And that's what I say that, well, come to think about it. It appears to me that the application for judicial review is unfounded. Why? And lawyers here. The committee established under Article 146, is it amendable to the review jurisdiction of the High Court? Is it? Is that our thinking? Has it been provided in the Constitution? Is it a lower court? What is it? So, and two, the declarations being sought by the Chief Justice is directed at the President. Is the decision of the President or the decision of the committee? Well, these are jurisprudential issues that I'm raising. I'm not providing answers to them because the matters are sub judice. I'm not providing answers. But I clearly think that there are legal issues which touch and concern the competence of the application before and these matters will be decided in court. And I'm sure it will even be escalated. Because if you are saying that your reading of Article 1466 and upon the true and proper interpretation of Article 146, the decision to remove a Chief Justice must not extend to the removal of a judge from the bench. That's an interpretation issue. And the High Court has no jurisdiction in that matter. If that is your reading. So again, I see that application in some way being misdirected. If you are sending it to the High Court, how can the High Court decide that? How can it? So you see there are many issues. But for me, I'm left with no doubt. And I've heard somebody argue that if a person loses his position as a Deputy Speaker of Parliament, does he lose his position as a MP? And I say, you have framed the issue very nicely. You cannot become a Deputy Speaker of Parliament if you are not an MP. So if your basis is that you are an MP to become Deputy Speaker, if you lose your MPship, nobody talks about your deputy. I mean, the government said that if hernia kills you, if you say you have hernia and the hernia has killed you, will you ask where the hernia is? The hernia too is dead. So if the basis of your appointment as a Chief Justice is that you are a Justice of the Supreme Court, and Article 146 is about removal of justices of the Superior Court of Judicature. Your removal, and that is why Article 1461 does not set out different criteria for the removal of the Chief Justice and the removal of a Justice of the Superior Court of Judicature. It's the same criteria. It must be stated misbehavior, incompetence, infirmity of body and mind. So, but this is jurisprudence. We are learning. The matter is in court. We will want to see whether what we are thinking will be vindicated by the court, and that it will add to the body of laws of this country. Thank you.
Ahmed, senior. Or senior.
You know,
the jurisprudence books he gave
I align myself.
The moment you mentioned jurisprudence, I knew
I align myself perfectly with what my colleague has postulated. You see, under our Constitution, Article 2.1 obligates any person who alleges a breach of the Constitution to go to the Supreme Court. Article 130 says that the Supreme Court shall have original jurisdiction in the interpretation of the Constitution. These are two things. If you go to Article 23, it talks about administrative bodies. So that an administrative body exercises some power, it didn't do it well, then that one you go there. If you go to Article 141, you're talking about the review jurisdiction of the High Court. That one too, he says that it exercises it against administrative abuses. So you have to look at these three provisions of the Constitution. In law, when you invoke a procedure, not even a jurisdiction, you use a procedure, and it is not a procedure you have to use. According to a Supreme Court decision in Idrisu against Amate, it is void.
That's the basis of the rule of law.
I associate myself with the fact that the application is sub judice. So we will not go into the merit. But we can discuss the jurisprudence around it. If you have substantive reliefs in your application, 4, and 3 of them are alleging a breach of a constitutional provision, where do you go? You have substantive reliefs. They are 4. 3 are alleging a breach. And mind you, the president is not subject to Article 23 under 146 because he exercises constitutional function, not an administrative function. So you have to be careful. If you are sick and you go to the doctor and you don't tell the doctor exactly what is wrong with you, and let's say your sickness is a headache, and they give you something for stomach, it will cause a problem for you. So in my opinion, talking in terms of constitutional matters and jurisprudence, there appears to be a problem. But that problem will be resolved by the court, because the Constitution says that where a matter arises in the High Court involving an interpretation of the Constitution, that High Court shall stay proceedings and refer the matter to the Supreme Court. Let's wait and see. Maybe the gun and the bullets are all going to go to the Supreme Court.
So as we wait and see, there are people outside the studio who cannot wait and see. So I understand we have Ni Ayiko, former Attorney General and Minister of Justice, online, who wants to contribute to the discussion. Senior, good morning.
Morning.
Can you hear me?
Morning.
Good morning. I hope you're good.
I'm doing good.
Right. I understand that you would want to contribute to the discussion this morning. So we are all yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Although I didn't listen to all, I know the topic that we are discussing, and I've heard 1 or 2 points that have been made by my colleague in the studio. The point of the matter is that all administrative bodies are subject to judicial review. We are not talking about a president having done anything. The president was not the committee. It was a committee headed by Puama. So Puama and his committee is what we are talking about. That is what constitutes an administrative body or a tribunal, 5 of them, who sat and made a decision. Their recommendations are subject to judicial review. Now, one should draw a distinction between enforcement of a constitution and an interpretation. Very, very many years ago, in the case of Mekankang, the Supreme Court made it clear that where the words are clear and unambiguous, it is just like any other law. After all, the Constitution is a supreme law of the state, and it can be applied. So when you are asking that certain provisions be applied, or that somebody has breached them, you don't need to go for any interpretation. You can just ask for an application that this is what the supreme law says, and we expected that it ought to be applied. And that if it is not applied, then that is a breach. It doesn't necessarily mean that for every action of a breach, you have to go to Supreme Court for interpretation. the rules are very clear. Unless the words are ambiguous, don't go there. You just apply the law. So whatever the substantive declaratory reliefs are saying, at the end of the day, it is quashing the decision which the applicant is looking for. What the applicant is saying simply is that under Article 146, a citizen of Ghana can present a petition. When he presents a petition, it has to do with the Chief Justice. Then you read into the provisions the adjectum principles, which is that the person is also entitled to have a prima facie determination made for her, in which case the president must have to consult the Council of State, make a prima facie determination, and then set up a committee to go into the matter. What the people asked for was for the removal of a CJ. They did not ask for a removal of a justice of the Supreme Court, because the procedures for appointment as well as the procedure for removal are quite different and distinct. And those who had the matter said she can be removed as CJ. Now, in your removal warrant, you said you are removing as both CJ and as Supreme Court judge. And he's saying that that is an error. You have exceeded your authority. When you set up Article 146, you didn't say so. The committee was to inquire into whether she is liable to be removed. The only place to go for such matters is to go to the High Court to deal with those matters. And I do not see anything wrong with it. In any case, why have they refused to give a date for the hearing of those other matters pending before the Supreme Court? But they are quick always to point to it that there are matters pending. Why are they not giving a date for it? Let me tell you, in the judicial review application which was filed by the CJ, they never gave a date for hearing until the Attorney General filed a motion claiming that the application, he had a preliminary objection to raise. Immediately he filed that motion, they quickly sat it down for hearing. So what the CJ went to defend was not to move an application which he had originally proposed to move, because they never gave a date until the AG office said they had a preliminary objection, and that one was quickly fixed. Again, they keep saying that she has so many cases in court, but that is not true. She only filed one, talking about the prima facie determination, which she had never been served with, and she doesn't know what it was that influenced that decision. That was the only one. As those in the studio would tell you, any citizen of Ghana can go to court for interpretation. So the Asafwa or Insafwas and all those cases pending in court are individuals who seem to have a beef with what has happened. She did not file those things. She filed only one application. And she should stop spreading those lies that she has been filing paper. It is Ghanaians, individual Ghanaians who have problems, who have been filing. When they wanted to remove Chief Justice Akwa in that famous case of Ajetum, it was not Chief Justice Akwa who went to court. A Ghanaian calling himself Ajetum said, no, what you are doing is not proper. So he goes to court. So they should stop vilifying the lady. Let us, as it were, see to the improvement of our administrative law. It does not appear that we have quite a number of cases or authorities in that area. And she's testing the law. He's saying that what you have done is wrong. Why do you come and try and create the impression that she's out of court, she should go to Supreme Court, she should let the law develop? As my friend who spoke finally said, that I've forgotten whether it's Ibrahim. What's the name? The one who spoke last.
Ahmed.
Ahmed, yes, Ahmed. I know his voice very well. At least saying that if there is any If the High Court feels that there is a matter of interpretation which arises, it can always refer it to. So why do we turn ourselves into lawyers and try to rubbish everything that has been filed? I said this on one other radio station. When the almighty Kwame Nkrumah was doing his own thing and had brought the PDA and was detaining people by heart, somebody took the matter to court in the famous case of Inri Akoto. This was Dr. Gebi Dankwa. People felt he was wasting his time. Today, people are praising him for having done that, and that the judges rather were timorous souls who refused to stand up to the rule of law. Please, let us allow these things to go on, and let's see what comes out of it. Even if it is not for today, for future, we will stand somewhere and say that there was one Chief Justice who refused to resign because she said the grounds were hollow. And we have all exposed the hollowness of the grounds. And so I cannot resign because of these things. Prove me wrong. Now go and prove. Out of 28, whatever, you said you have found 3 grounds. Useless ground, like a head of family, a head of an institution who cannot even transfer somebody. How many of the lawyers sitting there? You called me a senior. I presume you are also a lawyer. How many times have we gone to court complaining that somebody has been wrongly transferred? Don't we go to talk about wrongful termination and wrongful dismissal? Today, a termination is said to fall squarely between grounds of misstatement. And when you have an auditor's report, what happened was an audit. And the auditor, at the end of the day, raise a query. The spending officer explains. Then they go and come back and no more complain about it in their management letter. And today, we are being told that the head of the institution should be held responsible for anything that the spending officer did. Has it happened before? Even in the ministry, my friend who has been former minister before, has it happened before? Is it not the chief director who is a spending officer who is responsible? You should go and read the report. It was a judicial secretary, even in the first report or query, that was queried and told that if he doesn't bring the money, she will be held responsible. Then she explained the circumstances, and then they said, we are satisfied. It didn't come back again. These are the grounds being used. We were here in this country when Kwekwaza went to the presidency and said the Chief Justice had nominated people, and that is a ground for removal. The president and the Council of State went into the matter, and they said, no, she has done no wrong. So that is a clear case of res judicata. They allowed it again, they have accepted it again, and they are telling us that based upon that one, the Chief Justice ought to be removed. My brothers and sisters, I don't know whether they are sisters there, but I'm saying that let us allow the law to work, and nobody should be certified. We should not do things to stop this hearing. Let the hearing go on. That would be my take.
Okay, thank you very much, Senior. Thank you. Viewers, we had Ni Ayuko, former Attorney General and Minister of Justice, online, contributing to the discussions in studio. Thank you very much. So back in studio, Ishaq.
Yes.
I know you would want to jump at it.
Okay. Thank you very much. Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Quite apart from wanting to jump at it, I just want to clarify something. I never said state of emergency does not engage human rights. That was a misquote on the part of my senior. I said the right to environment is equally a human right, which they marketed that it was ecocide. So yes, individual rights is engaging with, is conflicting with a group right, which is right to environment, and call for a balanced exercise. So you cannot just cite individual rights as a ground for not declaring state of emergency. So both of them are rights, which call for balance. And a responsible government, if a large number of people's rights are engaged in the form of environmental destruction, you cannot cite human rights for not declaring it. So let's get that out of the way. For me, the current issue is
The original sin was just the wicked plan hatched by the NDC, even when they were in opposition. Dress up in illegality, using Article 146 as a clock. This is just the original sin. Now, having removed the Chief Justice, if you look at the...
I like how you are playing with the words.
No, having removed the Chief Justice, the original petitioner petitioned for her to be removed as a Chief Justice. And her complaint is that even if that side succeeds, the president has exceeded his powers by issuing a warrant that called for that remove her not just as a CJ, but also as a judge of the Supreme Court. Now, I believe the High Court is the right place to go. And I believe Article 146 has not given the president the power to do both, or listen. So if there's an interpretation, as his vital say, you don't go over there. If these two things are engaged, if there's even an interpretation issue, the High Court would stay the case and then ask for interpretation. For me, the interpretation doesn't even arise. But even if it is arise, the High Court can still deal with the matter by waiting for interpretation to come from the Supreme Court. And what is wrong with her going over there? Here, her rights are engaged. If her right is engaged, I believe the right trump any other consideration. Some people are saying that if you are removed at CJ, will it be inconvenient to sit with your colleagues? She asking for this right. It could be a form of vindication. Not necessarily that she wants to go and sit at the bench. She just wants to vindicate that right, that using Article 146 to remove her as a justice of the Supreme Court is wrong. Article 146 doesn't give you the power. And the president exceeds his power by issuing such a warrant. So it's a vindication of her right. Some people say, even if you won, what would you do with it? Let her won, as she's right to say. The Akoto case provided a way for us. And we are a young democracy. Our constitution dates back 1992. Cases of this nature actually need to be welcomed because it will develop our jurisprudence, such that this thing can be taught in schools. As if you read legal theory quite well, of which we have lawyers here, constitutions are built in an open structure form, not enough flesh. It is the interpretation and the court cases that will add flesh to it and to give a proper guidance in the future. Why stop them from exercising it? It baffles me. This is an NDC that I think their job is like their job in this second coming is not only to undermine constitutional independence. If you look at the recent action of the MOU that Abla signed, you can even see that they don't even respect Parliament, even Parliament itself. So their war now is not just on the judiciary, even Parliament. Because if you sign an MOU that imposes obligations on the state, this becomes a tyranny. So you can't just be referring that previous government have signed MOU that are sitting in your desk. Yes, under normal understanding international law, MOU are not tyrannies. But if MOU are imposing obligations on the states, they more or less become tyrannies. So I don't think they have a good plan for Ghana when it comes to, they are just using these legal terminologies.
We can go back into politics. I thought that we were here to...
No, but it's not politics. You were doing politics.
It is politics.
You were doing politics.
The Constitution provides an elaborate procedure for dealing with bills from Parliament. Elaborate. The President has no discretion in that matter. Where the President even objects to a provision in a bill, he has to refer it to the Council of State. The Constitution provides that. Nana Akufo-Addo wrote to the Parliament not to forward a bill to his office. You were a lecturer. Did you see anything wrong with it? So you talk about politics here. You see, when you come here, you are doing politics.
It's not politics.
When you come here, we can give you many examples. He himself, Nana Akufo-Addo himself.
You get the power. You control Parliament.
Nana Akufo-Addo himself breached the Constitution.
You don't even respect Parliament.
The Supreme Court said that Nana Akufo-Addo had acted unconstitutionally by removing the Dumulofo. Did you comment on it?
Okay, back to Ishaq.
Yes. So for me, this is a party. It's not only judicial independence they don't care about. Even respect for parliament. Something you control parliament, you can just get it done. For you to even say that you are being compassionate to your fellow Africans. Why can't their own country receive them? So it's even an insult to those particular people. Some of these people would prefer to have administrative detention in the United States as compared to you coming to Ghana here. We were here. You can't make a reference. We were here when people prefer.
Let's come back to the Torkornoo issue.
So for me, allow her to pursue that particular case. I believe she has a case. The president has exceeded his powers. And even if it turns out that she hasn't got a case, it will help develop our jurisprudence. So what is wrong with her pursuing that particular case?
That's good. Richard.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Have you gotten your...
Yes, I've received a lot of law lectures this morning.
So we'll give you a certificate.
I would have wished to contribute first, then they will direct me. Now they've all spoken. And
they feel the matter difficult for you.
But at least I'll try. So, first of all, I also want to give a bit of the Galamsey, just a minute on that. That yes, prior to the 2000 election, our politics in Ghana wasn't infused monetary-wise. It was contested based on issues. Now we have monetized elections in Ghana. And if you look at the political parties themselves, they struggle to raise even, dues from members of the parties. Therefore, where do they get money from in order to finance campaign? That is why there's another argument that should the state be funding political parties. If you do that, then that means there'll be a lot of stress that will be taken away from the political parties. So you don't need many people to be financing you. So at the end of the day, you go to campaign, you do all the campaign, you do all the talking nice, and they'll ask you, Anthony Krakra, anything. So the Krakra anything is that what are you bringing on the table? And CDD also suggests that you need almost about $1 billion or 1 billion cedis or so now to win an election in Ghana. So these are all some of the reasons why it is becoming so difficult to fight Galamsey. And if you continue in this tangent, I'm sure that in the next 20 years to come, ask yourself what is going to really happen to our environment. So let us find a nice way of funding political parties.
So your 1 minute is up.
Yes. So on that call, I've ended. Then again, on this issue of the removal of the Chief Justice and her position as the Supreme Court judge, in as much as I'm not a lawyer, I know that the interpretation of the law is based on discretion. You can have 3 lawyers, but they will interpret the same articles in different perspectives. So at the end of the day, sometimes common sense also must be put to play. So now, the argument is that the president has removed the former Chief Justice as the Chief Justice in that contest. Then again, while you are a Chief Justice, are you not still sitting on the bench? You are still on the bench. When you constitute a panel, don't the Chief Justice sit on the bench? She's part of it. So your position as a Chief Justice and a Supreme Court judge is sacrosanct. They are two, infused, hybrid. I don't think there is much difference between your job as a Chief Justice and your job as a Supreme Court judge. And then again, they are saying that the processes for removing a Chief Justice is different from the processes of removing a Supreme Court judge. Because the issue is that if I'm a Supreme Court judge and I'm supposed to be removed, it is clearly stated that the prima facie case or whatever it is has to be determined by the Chief Justice, okay? And even after that, she also has to constitute another committee to look into the issue if I'm not wrong. And then again, the processes for removing the Chief Justice has been clearly and explicitly explained in the Constitution, the Article 146 that we all keep referring to. So the argument is that has the president flouted any components or any aspect of that laid down procedures? Obviously, no. But I'm thinking that now we are interpreting the law based on convenience and not conviction. Because if you want to interpret the law based on conviction, then everything is clearly stated that the president has done no wrong. And then a simple analogy to conclude on my submission is that imagine we have an airline company and we are all pilots. You are a co-pilot. I am a captain of a plane. Then one person is supposed to be the chief pilot. And the chief pilot, also you are still flying aircraft. And we are saying that there are certain things when you do, you are jeopardizing the life of passengers on the flight. So now, when you are promoted to become a chief pilot, and then you do certain things that breach the fundamental principles of what a good pilot should be, and then you have been removed as a chief pilot, how then do you want to tell me that you want to go back and sit in the flight as a co-pilot? It doesn't really make sense.
You've really learned your law lessons today.
Yeah, it really doesn't make any sense. How then do you want to go and sit back as a co? Because your actions in the first place is detriment to the life of the people. This is why we are saying to you that maybe your actions and inactions as a Chief Justice is jeopardizing the integrity of the judicial service. Because at the end of the day, should anything happen, who is the neutral arbiter in Ghana here? It is not Parliament. If anything happens, we run to Parliament for adjudication. We go to the judge. We go to the court. So at the end of the day, the judge or the Supreme Court judges, the Chief Justice, the benchmark for measuring your morality and integrity is obviously different from the one that we use to measure that of the Speaker of Parliament. So at the end of the day, yeah, it is her unfettered right, no prejudice against her. It's her fettered right to test the law, to test it to its latter. But then, don't let us create the impression that the president has overseeded his power, because it's not the president who triggered anything against you. The president has followed due process, and it is the committee. It is the committee that recommends that per our findings, you are not suitable enough to remain as the Chief Justice of the Judiciary. But another aspect of the law that we need to consider is that once the executive appoints the head of the judiciary, then the judiciary has lost independence. So that aspect of the law, once we are doing a constitutional review, let us debate it to the latter. And finally, we Movement for Change, we have always been advocating that there will be a need for us to consider a second chamber. If you have a second chamber, that chamber will be the one to determine, or will be the one to look at who is qualified enough to be our Chief Justice. And if the processes of removing her also goes back to the second chamber, it might help, other than just depending largely on the Council of State and not, because nowadays the Council of State is obviously becoming a rubber stamp of the executive. Okay. So we need to look at these things carefully.
I'll go to Dr. Oduro, but Ahmed, we want to clarify something quickly.
Yes, teach me.
The Chief Justice. The President nominates someone for appointment. The Parliament does the rest. Yeah. Okay. In between that, we have the Judicial Council, we have the Council of State. So the President doesn't appoint the Chief Justice.
But the President nominates?
He nominates, but he doesn't appoint.
But clearly Article 146 is flawed.
So let us be guided. The same constitutional provision.
Clearly, Article 146 is flawed.
Does it nominate?
What provision of that article is flawed?
Does it nominate, let's say, about 3 people for Parliament to determine which one is suitable for the job?
No.
So this is some of the things that we need to look at.
I think what all he needed to, he wanted to clarify,
yes,
to not assume that when President says to you are, then it is. He's indicating that when the President nominates, it goes to a certain process for the person to eventually be appointed. So that's what he wanted to.
So you want me to clarify?
Yeah, so you said
I'll come to your clarity in a minute. Just a minute. So that's basically, so not to say that, just to clarify. So nobody sits out there to say that the President can wake up and say, today, Inusah Fuseini, you are the Chief Justice.
Gallery, if you look at it, that is how it sounds.
So that's why you are here to educate the gallery. Yes. So that the President would nominate one person. Yes. It goes through a process. Within that process, the process can actually say no.
But why don't you nominate more than one for consideration?
Well, that can come up, later if we are doing, but then as it stands now, the President does not appoint. He nominates, they go through the process. Yes. The process can actually say, no, we don't want this person, go back. The President will nominate another person.
If you read the preamble to the Constitution of Ghana, it says, we the people of Ghana do hereby, accept this Constitution, and then we agree that this should be the highest law of the land.
So at the point,
and if you go to chapter 25, it talks about referendum. When we get there, but you see,
so as it is now,
I'm just seeking clarity.
As it is now, whatever it is that we are doing, we have accepted it. The very day we don't accept it, that's when we go to a referendum and change it and become.
And then you must understand that the bifurcated method of appointing justices brings in a check on impunity
checks and balances, separation of powers.
Yes.
So you were saying earlier that
you said that the constitution is
I said by all means,
146.
Just a minute to put it in better frame.
Yes.
I'm not saying that because we are in a period of constitutional review.
Okay.
If you say presently that the Article 146 is flawed,
yes,
you do us a lot of good.
Yes.
If you mention that part of Article 146, which in your view is flawed.
Yes, I'm happy to do that. So if you look at the whole constitutional structure,
and do it in 1 minute.
Yes,
to go to
and the Montesquieu's principle of separation of powers and check of balance, it tells us that almost all these three branches of government should be equal. And the role that Article 146 has given to the president in the removal of the Chief Justice is quite an anomaly. So just as Parliament and the President play a role in appointing the Chief Justice, I believe they should play a role. Perhaps a petition could be forwarded to the President with 2/3 majority of Parliament voting to remove the Chief Justice. But not just Article 146, more or less give
that's a recommendation.
I think giving so much power.
So let me clarify.
So much power.
Let me clarify why.
What do you mean?
No. So you say, I asked this question on purpose.
Yes.
What we have just explained is procedure.
Yes.
It's not a substantive law.
Procedure.
It's procedure. So you say we know that there's a gap. And the gap is that the rules of court committee has not yet developed a procedure and processes to inform the implementation of Article 146.
But is that not some of the argument?
No. But that is not on the. No, that's not on the substantive provisions.
So let me go to Doc. Doc, are you with me? Are you still here?
Yes, I'm with you.
Right. I anytime I come back to you and I hear you smiling, it tells me that you are enjoying the discussion in there. I know you would want to speak on this issue, but probably I'll put two issues together for you so you speak on it, especially being a governance expert on the Justice Torkornoo issue and the Attorney General's kick at the Ghana Bar Association for being, for want of a better term, partisan in their approach to national issues.
Thank you very much. I think as a lawyer, let me also say that the issue is sub judice, so I'm very careful in my comments. Let me also say that it is within the rights of the former Chief Justice to defend her rights and to go for any review she wants because she's a citizen of Ghana and the Constitution allows that. We cannot take that away from her leadership. Let us also understand that in law, there is a straight rule or the straight line. What was the petition that went to His Excellency the President? What were they asking the President to do? What was referred to the committee? What was the committee's recommendation? And remember, in Article 146, Clause 9, it is clear that the President shall just act on the recommendations of the committee. So then the President will not have to modify the committee's recommendation, in my view. So then if the President issues a warrant and the warrant dismisses the Chief Justice and also take her off the Supreme Court, is that what the committee recommended? Is something that can be discussed later. But I think that there are gray areas in the law, and like what Honorable Inusah Fuseini indicated, the procedures and the rules are yet to be developed as far as operationalizing Article 146 is concerned by the Rules of Court Committee. Be it as it may, it tells me that there is a lacuna in there that needs to be resolved. So let us encourage some of these things by allowing the Chief Justice, former Chief Justice, to go to court so that we get the court to make a pronunciation on that. When it comes to interpretation, we all know the forum for interpretation. When it comes to issues of human rights abuse, we all know the forum as lawyers. So I think that we should not debate it. We should allow the law to take its normal course. We should allow the Constitution interpretation to grow. And as and when we grow, we'll be able to get there. But the gap would have to be resolved. The Rules of Court Committee should, as a matter of urgency, initiate the process of developing the rules as far as operationalizing Article 146 of the Constitution and similar provisions in the Constitution is confirmed, so that going forward, we will not get to this level. Now, let me come to the Honorable Attorney General's issue. I think, yes, as Honorable Attorney General, if there are issues of concern, and he's the leader of the bar at this stage, if there are issues of concern, he has every right to raise it at such a high forum. And I also know that the bar also responded, and they also indicated why that is the issue. My position is that the bench and the bar works together. And as a bar, we should stand for the law. We shouldn't stand for any political party. We should always stand for the law. And that is where we should be pushing ourselves to. I'm beginning to get worried about the divisions in the bar. Yes, it is within the rights of any lawyer to belong to any association or any group, but we should start closing our ranks and speaking as a common voice on issues of law, not issues of politics. So I think that, yes, the Honorable Attorney General has raised the issue. It is up to the bar to prove to Ghanaians, to prove to members, to prove to the Honorable Attorney General that that is not the position of the bar at all. The bar will at all times speak what is the truth and what is the law and stand up for the rights for the society. So I think it is a discussion that has begun. I believe that by the time we come to Greater Accra next year for the bar conference, we will see improvement and we will see the two parties coming together, so we'll be able to fight for what is right and within the meaning of the law.
Thank you. Gentlemen, I have only 4 minutes to close, so I'm going to spread. This is for lawyers. So, Richard, Inusah.
Well, I associate myself completely with the submissions of Dr. Oduro. It has been a matter of concern and worry that perceptions about the bar being sympathetic to one political party has been rife for a long time. It started during the time of Kufuor. Senior Ahmed will recall that in Kufuor's time, the bar actually issued a statement and said that they were withdrawing from commentary on political issues. We thought that it was wrong. And I just cited 2 examples of clear breaches of the Constitution and the rule of law in Ghana during the time of Nana Akufo-Addo, and the bar failed to act. We do not speak publicly. We do not condemn it. I agree with Solomon, Richard, when he says that it appears that we are practicing the jurisprudence of convenience and not talking to the matters of law. I mean, when he sues us. So yes, let's see what happens. He's the leader of the bar. He's worried. He's spoken his mind. Let's see what happens.
Okay. Ishaq.
I don't think we should accuse the bar of more or less partisan. You see, it's a major stakeholder in the way we govern, especially the removal of CJ. And if they find it, they need to express their opinion. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. So the opinion that they have expressed was in the right direction. I can't see the inconsistency at all. And even last year, the bar had the opportunity. I heard some of the members of the bar talking about the Galamsey as an issue. So I don't really think so. This is a major issue. So are we saying that the removal of the CJ, the bar as a major stakeholder, should have remained quiet? Actually, it would have been irresponsible on their part.
I think what he's saying is that if you don't want to remain quiet, then all the instances don't remain quiet. Don't choose to be quiet in some, and then others you become loud. That's basically.
Perhaps they don't see it as an issue. I mean, those people, what were the major issues?
The EC chair was not a major issue.
Well, for me, this particular one is really a major issue. If there is a clear violation, perhaps the bar didn't see that to be any violation.
Okay. Ahmed.
According to the philosopher Waldo Emerson, he says that you have to start by being your own before you can be another's. The Attorney General, the official leader of the bar, he's a member of the bar. So I think we should commend him. Yeah. He criticized himself as well as the leader.
In his own interest.
Please.
Focus.
So he said the bar must be consistent. They should cultivate a consistent, principled approach in their advocacy as an institution or an association. before they can extend it to the broader society. That's all he said. You have a double face. You issue first letter. You said, look, the statement, we want to tell the government to go according to law. Secondly, they say, I changed that one.
Okay.
That's a double edge.
Yeah. I won't go much on that part. But all I'm trying to say is that, respectfully, we have a country to build. And then we can all understand that, yes, Kwame Nkrumah and his colleagues, they fought hard and won Ghana's independence. Generations and generations have come and gone. It is our turn. I'm sure, obviously, within the next 20 years and so forth, maybe my father, Honorable Fuseini Eko, they will be fizzling out. So others will be coming. So let us set proper precedents and let us do things right and build this country based on integrity and make sure that when we are bequeathing it into a next generation, they will know that, yes, our father did a good job and build the country for us to take over from there.
Thank you. Viewers, on that note, we say thank you for staying glued to us and listening to us. Let the discussions continue in your homes. Those of you in public transport that you are listening to us, let the discussions continue. Keep it alive. These are new topics. These are issues that are brewing, and we know that within the week there will be more developments to it. And see you next week, Saturday, whilst we delve deep into these issues and any other issues that come up. Thank you for watching us. Thank you to Bank of Africa for sponsoring us. The quick fix loan of the Bank of Africa Bank.
Why are you together?
It's something that you should.
It could be good substitutes.
Gentlemen, the Bank of Africa that you should chase after if you are in dire need. Our proud sponsors. Thank you and enjoy the weekend.
You are substitutes.
For which one?
The two of them are.
Current Agenda was brought to you by Bank of Africa.